Oh, baby. Oh, baby. What did Keemstar say? Let's get right. Let's get right into the news. Happy birthday, Tupac. You know how we do. Oh yeah, where's my beanie at? Man, it's getting too hot for the beanie, but if you're looking good on camera, I'm not gonna lie. I will need to turn on the fan at this rate. It's actually getting really fucking hot now. I'm not gonna lie. Barely ain't no hairline receding where I come from. That shit don't run in my family. Okay. You gonna see this hair when I'm 50. When I'm 50 and playing Sonic Heroes Ultimate. Oh, they would have done it way before that. When I'm 50 and playing 06 Ultimate on the PS8, you're gonna see that shit. You're gonna see that shit, don't worry. Why am I shaving it bold? I don't shave it bold. That's level 1 in the barber. I keep it low. It's just easier to like maintain. I got dry skin. It's easier to moisturize your hair when it's short. When it start getting too long and it start getting dry and shit, and you gotta like put so much hair cream in it. Like I had an afro for years. Okay, that shit is hard to maintain. Okay, like those of you who don't watch me from back then. Like I had an afro for I wasn't even showing my face too much back then, but I had an afro for years. Okay, some of you might remember. I don't know. I think I missed some donations actually. Hold on. Let me turn on this music right now. I think one of them was before I even showed up. Marshall donated $5 and said it's okay if... That's not what was happening, okay? Ika donated $2 and said... Oh god, what are these donations, man? What are these... The Sloth donated £2 and said hard tier list when. I unironically want that. Look, if there's a tier list template for that already, we could do one, okay? We could do one. S tier is already gonna be like Rush, probably Unleashed, Heroes. If we're including menus as well, like harder menus, like Rush, Unleashed, Heroes. What else? I'm trying to look at the menu. I don't know if I put this in S. Maybe A. I don't know. Obviously Shadow Gens. Someone said Mania. If there's a template, we'll do a full. I don't want to like. I don't know about putting Mania's HUD in S. I mean, it's just the classic HUD again. It's not a bad HUD, but it's not like, oh my god. The menus are nice though. The menus are nice. The HUD is just more like the classic HUD, but I do like the menus in there. Zero Gravity up there with this main menu musical. Well, I mean, we're talking about HUDs and menus, not music per se. That's a bit different. That's a little bit different. That's a little bit different. I could donate $2 and said, "Guy with machine gun in your house story went." Man, you guys remember everything. My gosh. That was in Ghana though. That wouldn't happen here. No one's showing up to machine gun here. Like, what you come to take from here? All you're gonna get is like a PS5, maybe. You know. Ugh. Anyway, before we start, I did a poll. I said, how would you feel if a 3D boost Sonic game had the Sonic Rush trick system? Basically, you constantly build boosts by doing tricks on every spring and ramp, as well as finisher moves. Seems a lot of people be down for the idea. Some people seem to think that Generations already did that, even though I said every spring. Generations didn't do that. That's what Rush did, and Rush Adventure. That's just why I said like Rush, but you know. But yeah, people somehow thought that was what Generation. No, every spring. That's the difference. Rush, you were constantly doing it every single spring. Rush is the swaggest Sonic game, just to the tricks. Oh, Rush has got mad swag, man. Mad swag. Is it coming home or not? Bradley, what is this talk of football? Okay? What is this talk about football? The only foot you should be concerned about is the Sonic. Wait, hold on. No. Don't quote that. Don't quote that shit. We'll see, okay? We'll see. We'll see. Ugh. We got like 2 hours to the match. Don't worry. We'll be done by then. Okay. I always say that shit and we're not done. Okay. Let's get started. Okay. Let's get started. We've already seen this gameplay. I think Beats just like put it nicely, like in a video, like cropped it and all that. We can look at that if you want, but we got other shit to go through. People that played the game are giving their thoughts, basically. Let me zoom out of this. Yeah, so he was one of the first people to show off the game, I believe. And now he's got a video saying, like, giving his thoughts. We got Fidel, who interviewed Izuka and also gave some more info on the game. And we got tweets to talk about. For example, Otani isn't even working on the soundtrack for the game. So, whoever's doing all that EDM, I don't know who that is, basically. I don't know who that is. Am I watching the match? I'll try to, but, you know, we gotta finish this first, you know. Plus, fucking Love Island didn't even decide to move their time slot, even though there's a match going on. So I'm gonna have to have, like, you know, 2 screens, like, watching both at the same time. Anyway, okay, back to the Sonic. Marshall donated $5 and said, the day we get in a Rush decomp is the day I die a happy man. Man, I ain't about to die the day we get a Rush decomp. I need to live for that. I need to live. Speaking of Rush, man, I don't know if I said it in a previous stream, but the Rush cartridge I got for my 10th birthday, right? We're talking like Christmas 2005. That shit stopped working. So I had to order a new copy of Sonic Rush. Remember, the save data is tied to the cartridge, so you lose your save slot and everything. Technically speaking, I only beat Sonic Rush once, because it was the same save slot since 2005. I just kept replaying the levels. So I only actually beat the whole game once, even though I've played it a million fucking times. But yeah, the cartridge stopped working. You know, physical media doesn't actually last forever, as some people have you believe. And the true form of preservation is DRM-free digital copies of games, like decompilations or even cracked versions of single-player games. Anyway, so I bought a new cartridge for the game, and then I tried the old cartridge again, and then it worked. The fuck? So now I got 2 cartridges. I don't know if it's gonna keep working or if it's gonna stop working, but I at least went in and like took photos of all my time attack times, because I went in. So I took photos of all my times so that they would stick around just in case it stops working again. But I still retired the old cartridge. I kept it safe, and I'm just gonna play the new cartridge and replay the game. But I just felt like I had to say that. Blizzard donated 20 mad and said Shadow Skin has to be in the modern Sonic stages. You mean like play as Shadow in Generations? I don't think that's even happening. They've kind of not allowed that to happen, it seems. You would think that in the Sonic X Shadow Gens you'd be able to play as Shadow in the Sonic levels. Maybe Sonic in the Shadow levels, but I don't think that's happening. Anonymous donated $1 and said the one thing from Sonic Rush they should bring back is Eggman Nega. And there's a lot of things I love them to bring back from Sonic Rush. That's not the first thing that comes to mind. I would love to see Deadline come back as a 3D Sonic level, but you know, we'll see, innit? They sleep on Rush way too much. Way too much. But anyway, let's get to the shit, okay? Let's get to the shit. Not this video. Let's see Jeremy Klinger's opinions on Sonic X Shadow Generations after playing it at the Summer Game Fest event.
Sonic X Shadow Generation. I played Sonic X Shadow Generations. Here's what I thought. So, at the Summer Game Fest Playdays event, Sonic Team was nice enough to bring a demo for the upcoming Sonic Generations remaster, featuring 2 levels from the original game and 2 from the new Shadow Generations mode. I'm not going to go into the Sonic Generations side of things, because it's mostly the same game as before, but with the drop dash and R2 now being the boost, but I think that's it. First off, Shadow Generations is in fact a Bowser's Fury type of situation. They very blatantly copied the style of menu from that game and made this mode a completely separate game with its own unique narrative. It's not going to be one big open...
Flo and Kai donated $1 and said Sonic Advance 2 handled the dying battery issue the best of any cartridge game I've ever played. When the battery dies, everything is permanently unlocked forever. Triggered this by accident when I was a kid after I dropped my game. Wait, hold on. When the battery dies, everything is unlocked? Oh, I didn't even know there was a battery in the cartridge. I didn't even know that. I just thought they saved the save data on there and it was like hard saved onto it. I didn't think there was a battery in there. I thought the battery was like on like NES cartridges and shit. I didn't think it was like battery stored. But yeah, I didn't lose the save data for my Rush cartridge. It's just the game wouldn't run, basically. It just you put the cartridge into the DS and it just said there was no game there. So I don't know why it stopped working. Then the next week when I got a new cartridge and the old one started working again, maybe I just needed to clean it. Maybe I needed to blow on it on some, you know, old disc type shit, old cartridge type shit. But yeah.
Open world like Bowser's Fury, but according to their...
Remember when they had bouncers at the Sonic Frontiers demo booths? They were trying to hide that mid-cyberspace, man. You saw that shit. You saw that shit.
They very blatantly copied the style of menu from that game and made this mode a completely separate game with its own unique narrative. It's not going to be one big open world like Bowser's Fury, but according to their official website, it looks like a similar thing will be incorporated for the hub world. It says it's an open zone like Sonic Frontiers has, but this actually looks like there's a lot of shit to do. Frontiers has a lot of space for the sake of having space, and this looks really refined and fun to romp around.
I was going to make a video about this. Now I'm giving people video ideas. But I was going to say that Shadow Gens basically is Frontiers 1.5. But just a lot smaller. Like, almost like they're testing the waters for how to do Frontiers 2. But that's a video for another day that someone's now going to steal. And then when I do the video, they'll say I took the idea from them. Anyway.
It's still really early and we've only seen a couple screenshots, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting so far. But back to what I actually played, there was a full stage for the Space Colony arc and a boss fight against the Bio Lizard. Starting with the full-on level, I gotta say, it was long. Shadow's levels in the past tended to be post-adventure too, but where some of those seemed to drag on and on for no good reason.
They didn't drag. They were good levels.
Goes by really fast. That's mostly because you're actually moving quickly. A big complaint with a lot of...
You're moving quickly in Heroes as well. Maybe you weren't moving quickly because you didn't know how to play the fucking game. Were you getting A ranks? Or were you getting them E ranks?
Modern Sonic stages is that they're...
I don't even know what Team Docs say when you get an E rank. I don't even remember it's been that long. Okay?
Really short and end before they truly get going, but this felt like the perfect length in my opinion, and you're moving through the whole thing. It never really gets boring or slows down. Well, it does slow down, but it does that intentionally. By pressing L2 when the meter's full, you can activate Chaos Control, which pretty much freezes the world around you and lets you navigate obstacles that are otherwise kinda impossible to. This is such a cool gimmick. We've seen him use it in cutscenes time and time again, but finally getting to use it as the player feels incredible and adds a whole new layer of depth to these levels. Now, the quick time events they brought with them make sense. The original game had them, and it fits with time being slowed.
First of all, the tricks in Generations are not quick time events. Like, there's a difference. The trick system in Generations is just move the analog stick and then do the finisher. That's not the same as a QTE. A QTE is like the one in Unleashed where you have to press the set buttons, right? The Gens ones are not quick time events.
Down, but they kinda date the game a tad, which may have been their intention, but I don't know. I gotta say though, all the visual variety in this level was a treat. It starts off feeling a lot like Final Rush, then switches to Eternal Engine to give a full space colony vibe, then it does a complete
Isn't that more like Crazy Gadget? I don't know.
180, sends Shadow through God knows where, and dumps him off in a distorted radical highway.
I didn't even think about that, but like, because there's like 3 environments basically in one level, that means that instead of each level just being one area, they could be using multiple areas in these levels, which means that we could effectively see a lot more shadow levels than you'd originally expect. If like, let's say the game is going to have like, I don't know, 7 environments, right? 7 Chaos Emeralds, 7 environments. Does that mean that instead of just seeing 7 areas from past shadow levels, we could see, you know, 15 or even 20 areas because they keep switching mid-level? Like, is it going to be like that kind of thing? Like, one level could be like, you start off in like, I don't know, Grand Metropolis, and then it switches into like fucking Rail Canyon Bullet Station, and then goes into Final Fortress all in one level because of all the transitions and shit. Like, that would be crazy to go from like Bullet Station straight to like Final Fortress through some like portal transition type shit, you know? Or like Kingdom Valley into like Aquatic Base or some shit like that. We need White Acropolis. Okay, we need White Acropolis. We need White Acropolis. Seriously. Like, why? We need that. I need that, okay?
Couldn't figure out the mechanics for sliding down this building for the life of me, but literally everything else about this level felt exactly how I'd want it to. And unlike the modern stages in the Sonic Generations portion, this Shadow level didn't turn to 2D at any point. It was fully 3D from start to finish, which I was pretty excited about. I always hated when these games turned to a 2D perspective for the more platform heavy.
Oh, you hated that, eh? Where were you lot when the games were coming out, though? Because I wasn't hearing that when the games were coming out. And again, I said this before. I'm not trying to dunk on this guy, but I said this before. I have noticed a shift in the critics and the journalists, and that's just because of like aging, right? Like, I've noticed that in the early 2010s, and Chowmix made a great video on this. Like, I've been saying this for years. He made a great video on this, but in the early 2010s, the classic fanboy journalists were just dunking the fuck on everything 3D Sonic, basically, and it fucking sucked. It fucking sucked. It was annoying as fuck. It was really fucking annoying. And I've been saying recently that the journalists have now kind of switched to like the, we grew up in the 3D era, like we grew up in the adventure era type journalists. So you notice the shift in what they're saying. And it's actually kind of nice to see the journalists be on our side for a change. But that also means that give it another 5-10 years, the journalists are going to be the, we grew up on colors and wisps and where's the wisps and why haven't they come back type bullshit. And I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with the era of journalists where their first Sonic game was Sonic Lost World and Forces and shit like that, and bring back the Avatar and more classic in the modern. I don't need that. But I'm gonna enjoy it right now while the journalists are on my side for however many years that is. But I'm just saying, I've noticed the shift, okay? Them classic fanboys who grew up in the Genesis games, them born in 1978 to like 1980 something, them lot, they probably aged out of the journalist shit. They're probably like seniors in the companies now. Like, they're probably behind closed doors. But we'll see how long this lasts.
Sections. I get why, but it always bothered me, especially when there's a set of levels already dedicated to that style of play.
Exactly.
So I really hope that trend continues throughout the game. Shadow as a character plays exactly how you'd want him to. He controls very tight and actually turns really well, which kind of makes the quick step obsolete, and that's not a bad thing.
So he turns really well, that makes the quick step obsolete. Is that why they didn't put the drift in? They felt like Shadow's turn was so good that he didn't need a drift? Maybe. But yeah, I've seen a lot of footage where like people were playing and there'll be quick step sections and they just wouldn't quick step. They would just direct the analog stick. Whereas before, if it was like Unleashed or Gens, you definitely wouldn't try and turn. You literally quick step. You have to quick step. Especially with how tight some of those quick step sections were. Unleashed had some very tight quick step sections. Like, I think it was Arid Sands a day. You'd be on the side of the wall, and if you miss a quick step, you could just fall off.
I've heard a couple people say it feels similar to the cyberspace levels from Sonic Frontiers, and I can't really disagree with that. But where those levels are stupid linear, this one has a ton of really nice alternate routes that took some quick reaction time, and even some sections that give you multiple pathways to pick from. That does kind of highlight the only other issue I have with this demo though, because without any knowledge of the stage and making multiple mistakes, I still got a perfect S ranking.
Yeah, Sega needs to sort out their ranking system, man. Like, they can't be giving out S's like water. Like, S's need to be earned, okay? Like, you hand off like SA2, or Heroes or even 06 to any person that's never played those games before, they're not getting A ranks. Like, wait, 06 has S ranks, right? They're not getting the top rank. Like, on their first run through, it's just not happening. Like, I hand Seaside Hill to any person that's never played Heroes, they won't get an A rank. They just categorically will not get an A rank. But I could probably hand Modern Green Hill to someone who's never played it, and as long as they don't die, they will get an S rank. Like, as long as they survive and don't make one death, I'm sitting there like, yeah, we'll probably get an S rank. I remember when Gens first came out, and I used to think I was good at the game because I got S ranks so quickly because I was used to when the S ranks were tough. I remember thinking, man, I'm so good, but after a while I was like, no, these S ranks are too easy, okay? I remember I sat at a goal ring for like several minutes just to see how long it would take me to not get an S rank. And I forgot how many minutes it took to not get the S rank, but it was a lot, and I was a bit disappointed at that.
It's been a problem in the series for a while, and it kind of...
Prem, we love easy ranking. No, we don't love easy ranking. No, we don't. Ugh. Okay, it's poll time now. Okay, poll. You've activated the poll now. We're gonna do a poll right now because you lot. I'm about to do a poll right now. Alright. I need to see what people are at. I need to see what people are at because, like, now we just saying shit, okay? Now we just saying shit.
Here's one thing.
Let's check this poll right now. Thank you. Marshall donated $3 and said, I know it's really unlikely, but do you think they'll show this amount of love to other characters in the future? Characters like Blaze and Silver have been spin-off fodder for far too long. Just want to see them again in the mainline game. Well, here's the thing, right? People assume that a spin-off is going to sell less than a main series game, right? Because it's a spin-off. I mean, sometimes you have that situation where a spin-off could beat a main title, but usually a spin-off sells less. So if they were struggling to sell the main character, then they're not going to rush into any spin-offs, right? So it's only until Frontiers that Sonic has started selling good again, because Mania sold not that good, even though it was great as a game. You know, obviously Forces was shit, but like, the point is that if Frontiers starts doing crazy numbers in terms of sales, which it did, then they're like, oh, maybe we could add spin-offs and sell those as well. But even still, they're shook because Shadow Gens was supposed to be its own game, which is in one of the interviews we're going to get into. But they were like, let's just bundle it with Generations, you know, to be safe, right? So it's just one of those things where, can we sell a Blaze game or a Silver game? I would buy a Silver and Blaze game, but how do you convince the general masses who don't even know who the fuck a lot of these characters are to buy that, right? Like, you see people call Shadow just like the Black Sonic, or they call Classic Sonic Sonic Sun, or whatever the fuck. Like, they don't know the lore like that, so it's hard to sell a spin-off, you know? At least with a Shadow game, you could be like, add Sonic as a bonus skin so that people still buy it and play as Sonic, but you can't do that with a Silver game, right? I could donate $2 and said S used to acquire deep love and skill of the game. Exactly. S has become a participation trophy, and it defeats the value of getting one. It's just like, if you're gonna give everyone an S, there might as well not be a ranking. It might as well be SA1, right? It just seems like there's no point to have a ranking if you can't brag about. If I say I got an S in a level, and it means nothing, then it's like, why is it there? If I tell you I got an S in Eggman Land, you know that I know how to play the game. Like, you can't say you don't know how to play Unleashed, and I go, why S ranked Eggman Land? You go, oh, okay, S ranked Eggman Land, you know how to play Unleashed. You immediately know, right, that someone's good at the game once they say that. If I say I S rank, you know, Modern Seaside Hill, that don't mean I'm good at the game. It just means I played the level and I didn't die. It's not a show of skill anymore, it's just a participation, right? So, for me personally, like, Them baby rankings, I'm sick of them, right?
Hurts the intrinsic replay of this demo though, because without any knowledge of the stage and making multiple mistakes, I still got a perfect S ranking. That's been a problem in the series for a while, and it kinda hurts the intrinsic replay value of these levels.
Yep.
Why go back if you can't get a better ranking? Back in SA2, an A ranking was earned. It
Yep.
took dozens of attempts, and you really couldn't get away with more than a couple slight errors. It kept me coming back to levels again and again, and more recent games kinda got rid of that. That's
Yep.
not a very big complaint though, because this was just one level, and it was one of the smoothest and most fun new levels I've played in a 3D Sonic game in a while. The spectacle moments felt truly impressive.
Yep.
They're not just loop-de-loops anymore. The fucking universe crumbles and Shadow's just falling through it. It's sick. And that carries in...
We've got a donation by Masked Hoodie 948 and the Outcasts. Man, you sound like a whole band, right? When's the album dropping? Donated $3.50, saying, to be honest, it's more of a challenge to get a C now. Yeah, I mean, you gotta wait at the goal ring to get a C. Like, I think when the game comes out, people are gonna check that. Like, how long do you have to take to get like an A or a B or a C? Because it's ridiculous. Zekrom fan 1 donated $5 and said Sonic 06 released 5 years before Generations, whereas Forces released 6 years before Shadow Generations. Let that sink in. I wonder if we'll see Forces. I don't know what that means. I wonder if we'll see. You mean like Forces levels in this game? Who knows? Who knows?
Into the Bio-Lizard fight too. It looks so much more grandiose and epic compared to recent Sonic bosses, and is an excellent revival of a classic fight. In the original game, this one wasn't.
Marshall donated $3 and said, "Yeah, I've had a sneaking suspicion that they really wanted to make a Shadow game in time for the movie, but they couldn't sell it for full price, so they just slapped on Generations to sell it for the price they're asking for." Yeah, I do think that the adding of Sonic Generations may have been a last-minute thing. But I don't think it was because of full price, because even this whole package isn't full price. I think it's because they didn't have enough content, right? Like, maybe they wanted to make more content and they just didn't have enough. And it's like, either we delay the game to make more levels, but then it's not going to come out with the movie, or we just keep it short and just add Sonic Generations, which would explain why Sonic Gens hasn't been upgraded at all, really, besides a few little things. Because if it was, I feel like if they were doing this from the jump, then Sonic Gens would have to have the new graphics as well. That would make more sense to me. But if it was more like a, let's just add Sonic Gens as a last minute thing, then it's like, yeah, that's why it just kind of feels like they didn't do much to that.
Favorite. It felt very basic and why the f are there bubbles, and this one starts off that same way, but then goes a completely new direction and gives him these massive arms that come swinging down and cause a whole bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, they did good with the Bio-Lizard for real.
That I absolutely loved. It felt similar enough to still be recognizable, carrying over all the same elements, but it rearranges them into something really special that felt so fresh. And then you play the other half of this game, and it feels the exact opposite. Sonic Generations is a good game, but half of it is really good, and half of it is really lame, and they just didn't do much to change that. Shadow Generations, though,
what, he didn't like Classic Sonic. Man, the whole new era of journalists, man.
Sonic Generations is a good
the new era of journalists, man.
Game, but half of it is really good, and half of it is really lame, and they just didn't do much to change that.
I don't think that's fair, though. I mean, obviously the modern levels are better than the classic levels in Generations. Like, obviously, right? I would say the modern levels in Gens range from S to A. The lowest level is A tier. Whereas classic probably ranges from S to B, where the weakest level in there is probably B. I didn't really like Classic Planet Wish that much, I'm not gonna lie. Even I could put that in C, to be honest. I could put that in C. But like, S tier classic levels in Gens would be Classic Chemical Plant. Classic Sky Sanctuary is fire. Fire. That level is, I could give that an X if you want some rider shit, but that level is fire. I like Classic Speed Highway a lot as well. That's at least A or S, one of the two. Rooftop Run was cool. Crisis City was good. I like Classic Crisis City. Classic City Escape had a fire remix. Even better than the modern City Escape music as well. I like Classic City Escape a lot. What are the other levels in the game? I've forgotten the names of the levels now. But yeah. I don't think Classic was bad. It's just that modern is better. Let's be real.
Shadow Generations, though, doesn't make you play a boring classic Sonic level in between the fun stages. So it immediately...
Man, these journalists. This is how they used to talk about modern Sonic, man. You don't understand. Like, this is how they used to talk about modern Sonic. They would be like, modern is getting in the way, or this is how they talk about like other play styles, right? Like, I don't want to have to sit through the werehog to get to the fun day stages. This is what this sounds like, but instead it's the classic shit that's getting the hate. He's not a journalist. He got to play the game early. If you playing the game early, then you're in that category to me. They're inviting you over there to play the shit, okay? I wasn't invited. I ain't get to interview Iizuka. I would have loved to interview Iizuka. I would love to meet Iizuka. You know, get my copies of Sonic Heroes signed, maybe. You know, I would love that.
Makes it a much more appealing package. And this is actually the first time in any Sonic game that Shadow's just had, like, back-to-back levels. Every other time, he's incorporated with other characters that aren't half as good to play as. But here, it's all the fun stuff, just the marshmallows.
Did he say this is the first time that Shadow's gotten back-to-back levels?
Any Sonic game that Shadow's just had, like, back-to-back...
I mean, he got his own game, though. Like, he did get his own game. Like he's, like, the only one to do that. We're not counting Tails Adventure. Chill while actually chat.
Levels. Every other time, he's incorporated with other characters that aren't half as good to play as. But here, it's all the fun stuff.
And not half as good to... Heroes was fire. So I don't know if you trying to diss Team Dark, because, like... Omega was fire. Okay, don't even go there.
Just the marshmallows, none of those Cheerio shits. I'm really excited for this game. Even more so for that Ivo Robotnik journal that's just gonna collect dust on my shelf, but still. It's looking like it's gonna be fantastic, and probably the best modern Sonic game since the original Sonic Generations. Which I know sounds harsh, but no. Nah. I want to hear your takes, though.
It seems like Shadow Gens is on pace to being the best Sonic game since Generations. You know? Which, I know we said that about Frontiers, but again, Forces, Lost World, Rise of Lyric, like, what are we comparing it to, really? So, you know, Marshall donated $2 and said, I'm gonna be real, the only saving grace of Classic Sonic for me was the instant spin dash. Not only was it pale in comparison to the boost levels, it was also way worse than the level design in 2 and 3K. This is what I think. I mean, yes, the instant spin dash is great, I love it. I think Classic Sky Sanctuary is definitively better than Sky Sanctuary in Sonic and Knuckles. Definitively. And that's probably the only level that I think that way on. Like, because, like, Classic Green Hill is similar in quality to the original Green Hill, but maybe not as good. I think Mania's Green Hill was the best 2D Green Hill, for starters. Chemical Plant, I think Sonic... Well, the best Chemical Plant 2D is in Mania, right? So, again, Mania surpassed a lot of the levels in Generations in terms of the classic levels, but I stand by Classic Sky Sanctuary being the best Sky Sanctuary out of all the 2D Sky Sanctuaries, right? I think Classic Sky Sanctuary is legitimately a top tier level. That one level in particular, I think they cooked. I don't think Sonic and Knuckles Sky Sanctuary holds a candle to Classic Sky Sanctuary Generation. That's the one level I can say that with my chest. The other ones, you could go either way, to be honest. I could donate $2 and said I met Iizuka while dressed as Chris Chan. I don't know if that's true, but, you know, hopefully you got something signed.
So, what do you think of this game so far? Leave your takes down in the comments. And if you want to look at my full playthrough of the demo, check out the video on screen. Or check out this video, where I rank how useless Shadow is in every mainline Sonic.
How useless Shadow is in every... What? Hold on. How useless... What? What is this? Where's this tier list? Let me see this shit. So he was elite in... What do you mean he was a sidekick in Heroes? What the fuck? He had a whole campaign. The fuck? How was he decently capable in Generations? All he said was like one line. He had one line in Generations. What is this list? How is he a sidekick in the GOAT? Anyway. He's a requirement to beat the game. He's not a sidekick, okay? He had a full campaign. Anyway. So... It seems people are really fucking with this game. People are really fucking with this game. Is this the good footage, or is this like the person I was playing like shit? Anyway, let's look at the Izuka interview. Izuka's always got some shit to say.
I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Oh my god.
Thank you.
It's like it's a big deal. It's like for me, it's like the Sonic is like everything.
Marshall donated $2 and said, "Off topic, what are your thoughts on Ubisoft basically confirming that the Sands of Time remake is in development hell?" Man, I've got a short that I need to post on Premulous. I was streaming the Ubisoft event on the Non-Sonic channel. When they announced that it was coming 2026, I went on a whole like rant. Like I was pissed. I have to actually post that as a short because I was very pissed. Okay, very pissed. We know that they have the resources to do it, but because it's not Assassin's Creed, they just want to waste time. So yeah, it's really pissed me off. It's a shame because Ubisoft up until like AC Revelations, they were on fire, man. Ubisoft. Oh my god! Like, look, I had like AC2, Prince of Persia, Forgotten Sands, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, all within 3 years, man. And then they had the original trilogy. Like, oh my, Ubisoft were killing it at one point. Like, Ubisoft were like my favorite devs at one point. I wanted to work for Ubisoft at one point. Like, it's crazy, but yeah, man, the fall of a great company.
You know, it's very difficult for me like process my emotions and everything about Sonic. You know. So I was wondering, right? How do you feel right now? Because it feels like to me, Sonic is in like the best position he's been in so long. We've got like movies, we've got Sonic Frontiers has been awesome. We have Sonic Shadows. It just feels like Sonic is just left and right media everywhere. How do you feel about it?
How does he feel? You see, this is what I was saying. See, I don't like to harp on this too much because I know people get mad at me when I'm right, but like, this is what I was saying in the 2010s, right? I was like, those of you who are too young to remember, like, remember, we're in 2024 now, okay? Like, there are people who were born in 2006, aka the year that Sonic 06 came out. People were born that year and they're adults now. They're adults now. You were born in 06. How the fuck are you an adult? What the fuck? How can you be born in 2006, 2007, and you got a driver's license? I'm not getting in a car with a driver who was born in 2007. What the fuck? The fuck? So you don't even remember when Smack That came out? Like, you don't even remember that shit? Like, listen, okay? There's a whole new generation of Sonic fans who just don't remember the 2000s, right? So we have to remind them, okay? This onslaught of content that we're getting now was the 2000s. So when I was talking about the droughts in the late 2010s and how we don't get a lot of shit anymore, how we need more shit, and you lot who didn't remember that era were like, we were getting Sonic toothbrushes and Sonic condoms, therefore we're not in a drought. And then the movie happened, and they realized there was dinero to be made, mucho dinero to be made, and they were like, oh, we could make money off of this shit? Let's start pumping out content again. And then you saw the content come out, and you were like, oh, this is what Prem was talking about. This is what they are capable of doing. But they weren't doing it before because they didn't think they were going to make the dinero. Once they realized they were going to make the dinero, they were like, oh, pump that shit out. And that's all I was saying. The reason why they stopped is because they couldn't figure out how to make money with Sonic anymore. The reason for that being, they kept fumbling the bag, obviously. Lost World, and then Rise of Lyric, and then Forces. Then you got upstaged by a small team who made Mania, but that didn't sell too much because apparently people don't like sprite-based, which is why they started saying Superstars is better than Mania. No, it's not. But they wanted 2.5D. Okay, fine. But the point is, we are now getting the content onslaught. Like, I feel like if we looked at a list of the Sonic games that came out, I'm just saying, I haven't actually checked, but I feel like if we looked at a list of the Sonic games that came out from like 2020 to like the end of this year to 2024, I feel like it's already like the amount that we got the whole 2010s. We probably already matched the amount of content we got in the whole 2010s at this point. It feels like that already. It's like every year something, okay? Because, I mean, 2010s, like the early 2010s, we were still getting a decent amount of content. It kind of slowed down around, like, after All-Stars Racing Transformed. That's when it really started to, like, taper off. And then Boom came out, and it was like, Sonic? What the fuck is that? You know? But, yeah. It was crazy. It was crazy. They don't know we used to get something every year. And to be fair, it's not all just because of, like, you know, the main reason why it was like that in the 2000s, aside from obviously money, is because of the differences in hardware, right? Because of the major differences in hardware, they had to kind of do that, right? Because like the DS had 2 screens. You have to make something for the DS, you know, and the GBA was obviously a high seller, so they had to make GBA shit as well. The PSP had more power than the DS, and it was 1 screen, so you're not going to make the same thing for the DS that you're going to make for the PSP, right? You're not going to put Rivals on the DS. You're not going to put Rush on the PSP. So now you got to have DS shit. You got to have PSP shit, because all these systems were selling. It's not like they were flops. So you got to have a DS game or a DS series. You got to have a series on the PSP. So you're getting Rivals on the PSP. You're getting Rush Adventure on the DS. And then it's like, now we got the main consoles to deal with. PS3 and 360 are similar enough in power that they can get the same games. But then the Wii, our shit sells on Nintendo. But the Wii is way underpowered. It's way more powerful than the DS and PSP. So we can't just put the DS and PSP games on the Wii. And we can't downport the 360 and PS3 games to the Wii. So we have to make a whole set of games for the Wii as well. So now the DS has got a series of games. The PSP has got a series of games. The Wii has got a series of games. And then the PS3 and 360 has got a series of games. And we're not even talking about the ports yet. The re-releases. Like, there's so much shit that you have to, like, put together. Whereas now it's like, the Switch gonna get the same shit as the, what's it called? You know, PS5, you know, Series X. There's not really any handhelds now. So it's like, okay, we'll just make one game. So all these things came into play. But yeah, that's the history. Bradley, listen, you need to learn the history. You youngins need to learn, okay?
そうですね。やっぱり映画の公開以降ですね。
Where's Zuka's translator?
オーディエンスも増えて、でゲームに対する期待感とか、そういうのもどんどん膨らんできて、で今年はもうイヤーオブシャドウということで、シャドウのゲームも出しますし、シャドウのいいスポットライトを当てた映画も公開されます。
Where's Suzuka's translator? Marshall donated $2 and said, "This is gonna sound kind of tinfoil hatty, but I really do think they won't remaster games that don't feature the current cast. I wholeheartedly think that if they do ever remaster something like Unleashed, Roger's gonna be the voice of Sonic." I don't think they're gonna do that though, because like, it's not like Adventure 1 where the voice clips are like low quality, where they have to do that. Unleashed voice clips are fine. There's no reason to re-record them. Like, they didn't re-record Color's voice clips. They didn't get Roger to do new clips except for the animation. I just don't see why they would do that at all. If it's a remaster, it's just gonna... Like, they got Kate Higgins back for Color's Ultimate. They didn't have to do that. They could have just left it the way it was, but they did. I just don't think that would happen. Maybe with a remake, I don't know, but not with a remaster. Yo, it's Psycho with the $10 donation. Thank you so much for the support. Born in 07, I wouldn't be a fan if it wasn't for the direction he had in the 2000s. Played Colors in 2013 and noticed the drop in quality. Kids aren't stupid. Yeah, I mean, of course, like, there's nothing saying that you must prefer your era just because that's the era you grew up in, right? And there's always gonna be, like, overlap, right? Because not everyone plays the same thing. Like, people play older shit. Like, I remember when I was a kid, we had, like, I had an N64 as a kid, but the N64 came out when I was, like, 1. Like, I wasn't old enough to buy one of my own, but obviously you got older siblings and friends and whatnot. So I had an N64, I played a Game Boy, and the Game Boy came out in, like, the 80s, right? But, like, there's that overlap. So if you're, like, playing a game in 2014, and you get, like, an old console, which at that point, an old console would be, like, a PS3, 360, you know, you could still be playing that era of games. It's still kind of there. So there's that overlap. Not everyone plays it when it's new kind of thing. So you could still grow up. Like, there's people from my era, like, born in mid-90s, who barely grew up on 3D Sonic. They had, like, Genesis and shit, like, or they play the classics more than the adventure shit because maybe they had an older sibling who had a Genesis or whatever. So, like, there's all these elements that play here. But, yeah, I think, you know, it's hard for me to say, like, because when I grew up in the adventure era, I didn't really think the classics were better. I just didn't. Like, but 3D just looks cooler. It looks more expansive. So I was never going to put that over, you know, the modern era. That's just me. But I don't know what it would be like to grow up in the meta era and then see the 2000 shit and then compare the two, because that's a whole different ballpark, essentially.
シャドウの生みの親の一人としてはすごく嬉しい。
So yes, a lot of this started with the release of the first movie. We saw our audience really increase at that time.
He just admitted it. We already know, but he admitted it. The movie kickstarted everything. That's why I call this the multimedia era, because it's like the fuel, right? If Sonic is a car, the movie was like, we finally got some fuel to get this car moving again. The car was like swarmed off, in the driveway, and the movie came out and was like, we're about to jumpstart this shit, okay? It's like I donate $5 and said, why play colors when Secret Rings and Black Knight are right there? I mean, look. I don't want to hate on the storybook games, but like, I like Secret Rings. I do like Secret Rings, but I think Black Knight is a bit overrated. I mean, story-wise, it's cool, but gameplay-wise, I think it's a bit overrated. I'm just saying. All of those games that you just mentioned are around the same level to me. Around the same level. But in terms of the cool factor, yes, I would say storybook is way ahead,
We saw a lot of people really get excited about our games and the expectation for more games. And this year, it's the year of Shadow. So we really get to point the spotlight at Shadow as a character and in all the fun that we're going to have with the games and Shadow.
Awesome. And like, right now, what makes me so happy is like, we are seeing the coolest thing these characters have done. And I want to know, like, what's the inspiration? Because, like, for example, especially Sonic Frontiers with Sonic, he's like fighting these titans, he's tossing them, sword slashes, everything. And now we're seeing Shadow with Black Doom wings. It's crazy. And so, like, what is the inspiration? Is it to make Sonic more anime, or what's the goal with that? All that crazy stuff that's going on.
なんでしょうか。いろいろともうその勝ち目近い今までそれっきりないような標準と戦う。
So Izuka understands English but doesn't speak it. I mean, they say when you're learning a language, you can usually understand like two levels above what you can actually say. So like, I was learning a bit of Spanish, and you watch like videos in Spanish, and you understand way more than you can actually speak. Like, you be getting the gist of what's being said, but then try and say that shit back and you can't say it back. It's like, it's really hard. Like, so he probably gets a lot of what Fidel is saying, but not fully, right? So you need the full translation to like fully understand it. What's up, Jaden? Did you miss anything? We're just going through some impressions from people that played the game, but there's still more to come, so don't worry.
シャドウが羽を入ったことそれをこの全て見たことのない凄さは何かの理由でやろうとしているのかというような質問です。
What do I think the meta score will be in Sonic X Shadow Generations? I went on record before saying that it could hit 80. Like, it can. I still think it can, but we'll see. But I went on record saying that this might be the one that does it, I don't know, but my gut is telling me that they might just hit an 80. My gut is just telling me that right now. And it's weird to say that about a 3D Sonic, because they don't do that. The last time they did that was SA2. So, yeah. My gut is saying they might do it this time.
やっぱり
Marshall donated $5 and said Sega should legit be kissing Universal and Jeff Fowler's feet. Frontiers and this franchise as a whole would be nowhere near as popular now if it wasn't for the moves. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I think people don't really realize, like, I don't think they realize, and you said Jeff Fowler and Universal, but Tyson Hess especially, because people don't realize how much, like, those people, like Tyson Hess and the movies and all that, saved this whole fucking franchise. Because, like, we were going to get that original design. I think everyone's forgotten about it, but, like, we were gonna get that. The movie was gonna be another bad product. It was gonna come out with that horrible design, and then it was gonna flop so bad, and then the franchise is going to be in the toilets. Like, the toilets. I think people are forgetting, like on some multiverse shit, we dodged a serious bullet. Because it wasn't just the movie. Everything that's happened since the movie, right? It's like if you kill someone, right? And that person was going to have 5 children. They haven't had the kids yet, though. But let's say they were going to. You haven't just killed one person. You've killed a whole bloodline of potential people, right? So, if they had lived, they would have had 5 children. And those children would have had children. And those children would have had... That's like thousands of people that potentially would have been birthed that never were birthed. So, if the design for the movie was shit, and the movie flopped, everything that followed, like the re-releases, the more effort, the constant content, all of that wouldn't have happened. We dodged a serious bullet because of one movie design. So, like, we have to understand that we seriously dodged a whole verse. Like, if this is like some multiversal shit, we dodged a whole verse of bullshit because of that design change. So, like, seriously, like, Tyson S really did something crazy. Because had it not been for that, like seriously, man. Jaden XP has been a member for 10 months in a row. Thank you for the support. 76 on meta, not an 80, but at least it'll be green. Look, if it gets green, I think that's good. I don't think it will get yellow because I mean, aside from Generations aging graphically, which I know Sonic fans don't like to admit that because they don't play other games, but aside from Sonic Generations aging graphically and Time Eater being mid, Generations is still a great game, right? They haven't surpassed Gens since Gens came out. No, Frontiers didn't surpass Gens. Generations is still a great game, and then you've added the Shadow portion on top for the new content. There's very little mid that will be in this package. It has to be green. For it to not be green, it has to be on some, I don't know, glitches or lack of polish type shit. Maybe the Switch port because of bad performance. I don't know. But I think 80 is possible. I wouldn't rule out 80. Like with Frontiers, I had ruled out 80 from the jump. I haven't ruled out 80 with this game. I think it's possible. But we'll see. Gabriel Cousins donated $5 and said, what are your biggest hot takes when it comes to Sonic games, stories, and characters, and why? Man, if I was to go through hot takes, like, we'd be here forever. Because I got so many hot takes. People get so mad at me. Like, when I used to be on Twitter, like, years ago, like, I had so many hot takes. I'll give you one, though. Like, I loved 06 story. I thought it was fun. I don't know if that's a hot take nowadays, but, like, I did love it. But I've got way too many hot takes. I'll be here forever. Literally. Like, so many. Blue Legend donated $5 and said, would you be down for a new storybook game? One with normal controller controls? Would you prefer boost inclusion? I'm not really, like, a storybook game fanboy like that. So it's not really, like, my concern right now. What I really want is that Rush remastered. That's what I really want. Like, if we're talking about... Or Riders Ultimate. That's some shit that I really want. That's, like... Riders Ultimate, like, I think of, like, what Smash Ultimate did for Smash, like, the amount of content that's in it. Riders Ultimate would probably be one of my favorite Sonic games ever. If they did that. If they did that well, and it had tons of content and good online, Riders Ultimate would be, like, a go-to thing. And considering that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or Mario Kart 8 in general, is more successful than every Nintendo game ever besides Wii Sports, I feel like Riders Ultimate would have the potential to be bigger than every Sonic game if they marketed it well, because it's a party game, right? It's a racing game. So you get people that don't even play the main games who would get a Riders Ultimate if it's fun enough. So for me, that's like something that they should do. Mike Animates donated $5 and said, heck yeah, Fidel. Yeah, thank you for the support. Man, there's so much coming through right now. We're getting left behind. Let's continue with the interview. It's both a party game and a competitive skill game. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Mario Kart's got the CCs for that exact reason. I think a Riders Ultimate could have like a harder like mode where you focus on like the pro elements of it, and then an easier mode where it's like slower and your fuel depletes like not as much, so it's easier, something like that. But yeah, I could make a whole video on how to do Riders Ultimate. Not that they'll do it, but like I would love to see them do it. Like, just use the gameplay of the base Riders as a base, and just like touch it up like today's graphics, but keep the mechanics the same, right? And just add more content. They got so many stages to pick from for a Riders Ultimate that like there'll be so much content, like it would be crazy. And like I would play that shit all the time, real talk, all the time. But yeah.
この30年以上長くリリースできたのもやっぱりファンの方のおかげだと思ってるんですね。でそのファンの方がその長くソニックをこう支持していただけるようになったのがやっぱり毎年ソニックの新しいところ、常にフレッシュな新しいアイデアで新しいゲームを出すこと、これが一つ重要なことだと思ってますので。 で、今回の、シャドウを単に、ジェネレーションズとして昔のゲームを持ってくるだけじゃなくてシャドウを加えてさらにそこに、ブラックドゥームの力による
Do you have mandatory military service? I don't know anything about that. I ain't joining no fucking military. I only fight for the Sonic.
力を見せるために、取り組んでいます。
So yes, for the past 30 years, we've really been able to continue being successful due to our fans and all the support that our fans give us. It's really been a long time, and in order to really make sure we continue moving forward with new content and keeping our fans still engaged, every year we need new content and we need to be
Every year we need new exactly, man. That's what I've been saying, man. That's what I've been saying.
doing new things. We always want like new ideas, new games out there, and new ways that we can really entertain our fans.
I'm gonna say this now. Because like I've done polls before where we rank like the best decade of Sonic, like 90s versus 2000s versus 2010s. Pretty much everyone agrees that the 2010s was the worst out of those three. Obviously my era is gonna say 2000s and the classic fans are gonna say 90s. Put it this way, right? If we get Adventure remakes and they're not shit and they're actually really good, which we'll see. Like, we'll see, right? But I don't think they will be where I want them to be in terms of like the level of automation that they're gonna put in it. But if they gave us an Adventure 1 remake and it was really fucking good, like really fucking good, then I'll put the 2020s over the 90s. Because like that's the big one, right? Like when I look at the 90s of Sonic, I think Adventure 1 is the best thing to come out of 90s Sonic, followed by Sonic 2, then Sonic 3, then Sonic and Knuckles, then Sonic 1, and then CD at the bottom, not including the spin-off shit, right? I'm not talking about the spin-off shit. So like, if we got the Adventure 1 remake in the 2020s and it was fire, like Switch 2, so it's not like limited by Switch 1 graphics, and they did it well, and they didn't use the modern cast, which, again, I don't think they're going to do all that. But if they did it well, that would be the moment where I go, okay, 2020s goes over the 90s now. It becomes like second place. Because right now, 90s is second, 2000s is first. But if they did that one thing, I would put 2020s as second. Under the 2000s. Like, and that's a weird thing to say, right? Because the 90s was like the most consistent in terms of quality. I mean, out of the main titles, Sonic 1, 2, 3K, and then Adventure, and CD, obviously. The only mediocre thing was really CD. So everything else was great. So 90s was known for its consistency. 2000s was known for its amount, right? Like the 90s is kind of like when you drop an album that's like 10 to 12 songs and there's no misses. It's like a thriller or a bad. Like it's just fire. Whereas the 2000s is like a 30-song album, 15 songs are fire, but then there's like a bunch of skips. But then the 15 songs that are fire, you always come back to that shit. You know? But yeah. Marshall donated $2 and said, also had military service. The way you described your time in boarding school, it was basically the same for us, but with stuff like training with weapons and basic survival training. I don't know if that was the same as boarding school. We had no weapons and survival training, right? It was more like leather belts and bullying and shit like that. Okay, but you know, military service is a tough thing, right? I don't think people should be forced to do that shit, but you know, that's a whole different topic that goes way beyond the scope of Sonic the Hedgehog, you know.
And one of those ways is with Sonic.
Yo, Blue Legend with the $10 donation. 100% agree with your opinion on Riders, like using online multiplayer modes for Mario Kart, open world story like CTR with all the OG stages ported, that plus new characters, you should make this a vid. Yeah, man, I've been saying Riders Ultimate for years. Like, when I talk about, like, not like ports, but when I talk about the two Sonic games that I want the most, I'm not talking about, like, you know, the standard platformers or, like, Adventure 3 or whatever the fuck, but, like, the two games that I think about, like, please make this, I think the Sonic version of Mario Maker and Riders Ultimate. Those are, like, the two that I'm, like, they would get the most hours of play out of me. Because the Sonic version of Mario Maker, that's, like, unlimited content, right? Imagine, like, 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles levels you could be made in there. Even Sonic 4 levels, Rush levels, Advanced 1, 2, 3 levels. Like, there'll be so much variety just off the 2D shit. Like, it would be crazy if they really went in on that. And then Riders Ultimate, like, the levels you could pick for them, like, imagine, like, Heroes levels in a Riders Ultimate. Imagine, like, what other great levels are, even Colors levels, like Starlight Carnival as a Riders level, that would be crazy. Like, imagine that. Like, the path building, you know, like, Sonic has got some great level areas, which is why it annoys me so much when they reuse Green Hill and Chemical Plant a million times as if that's all they have. I don't know why they do that so much when they got so many great levels, you know? But, yeah, there's so much potential in the Riders Ultimate. Izuka said he's not going to make a Mario Maker. Yeah, he said that. I don't know why he said that. It really pissed me off because, like, it's almost like he just dismissed the value of it. I don't know why he said that. I think it's missed potential. You know, I don't think we're going to see one in terms of a fan version because that shit's not coming out.
New ways that we can really entertain our fans. And one of those ways is with Sonic Generations, we're not just remastering it, we're also bringing in Shadow Generations as brand new content. And the Shadow Generations gameplay, it's in the Generations format, but it's not just Generations. We have...
Also, Izuka is rocking that Shadow chain. Like, he's got that shit on. Okay, let me just say, like, I think my face cam might be covering it, but, like, he's got that shit on. Okay, he's dripped out.
You know, we have Doom powers that we're granting to Shadow to make it...
Floating Kite donated $1 and said, keep playing Sonic Dream Team every few weeks and still love it dearly. I wish I was gaslighting myself, but this is probably the best 3D game feelings wise since Generations. Really hope this team gets to do more. Play the updates to the new levels. I'm not gonna lie, I saw a video, I think someone sent it to me on Discord, of like, I think it was a Dream Team update, and I was looking at the level design, and I was like, and I said this when Dream Team came out, I was like, man, imagine this with like some proper like AAA budget. And it's true, like I was looking at the levels and the level design, and there was like a part where you had to boost into it was like a half pipe, and you boost up and then use that momentum to then light dash into a higher path. And I was just sitting there and I was thinking about Shadow Generations and the budget and the presentation. And I was like, imagine this with the budget and presentation of Shadow Gens. And it's like, those Dream Team level designers, they definitely need to be brought in to like Sonic Team to do some shit. You know, they definitely need to be, because it being stuck on Apple on a subscription, like I'm not paying Apple Arcade every month, so I haven't played Dream Team since then. But I really wish they would port that. You know, I really wish they would, because it has a lot of potential.
A Generations game, but with these new actions and new abilities, new ways of showing off Shadow as a really cool character, and new ways of having lots of fun content for our fans. And it's all this newness that keeps people engaged and having fun.
Yeah, no, and I see that, which is so cool. I was wondering it because I feel like we've slowly been seeing more Sonic characters get spotlight, right? Like I feel like Amy, you know, we had her in Origins Plus, we started having her playable in Frontiers. Like Amy, I feel like got her spotlight again. Knuckles, obviously, everywhere. Knuckles show, Knuckles in Frontiers, Knuckles movie, and now it's
Wait.
Shadow. And I wanted to know, like, is there another character that you really love that you want to give like another spotlight like this? What's a character you got in mind? You know, what do you think?
そうですね、やっぱりなかなかソニックのゲームを作るのにもすごい時間かかるんで、スピンオフのタイトルってなかなかできなかったんですけども、まあ、今はこうメディアがどんどん増えて、パラマウントプラスでナックルズがフォーカスされたのもすごく嬉しいですし。
Someone said there was a Knuckles show. No, there wasn't a Knuckles show this year, but he did feature in the Wade show though. It was pretty great. Marshall donated $2 and said, "Classic fans, our era was perfect." Oh yeah, man, 3D Blast, Sonic Chaos, Triple Trouble, Labyrinth, Knuckles, KLX, Aura Fighters were all masterpieces. The collective amnesia with this fan base is extremely infuriating. I mean, okay, I think Triple Trouble was okay. But I mean, yeah, the classic era wasn't perfect either. I feel like, and I said this before, Sonic tends to struggle in the middle of the decade for some reason. Like every middle is where the issues start. Like after like Sonic 3 Knuckles came out in 94, so after that they started struggling in the middle, and then eventually came out towards the end of the 90s. And in the 2000s, it's like the middle is where Shadow and 06 came out, and then that's when the Dark Ages or whatever they called it. And in the 2010s, the middle was like Rise of Lyric. You know, it was something around the middle of the decade. They start to just like, it's like they start the decade off really strong, and then somewhere in the middle they're like, oh, the decade's not over yet. You know, so I'm just saying next year is gonna be the middle of this decade, so they gotta prove us wrong this time because they have issues in the middle. Something about the middle, they're just not good at that. Okay, they're just not good at that. You know, I mean, to be fair, the 2000s had Rush in 05. That was fire. But like, in terms of the perception of Sonic, they tend to struggle the most at the middle of the decade. They tend to be the best at the start of the decade, like the early years, like 2010s. Colors is well received, even though it's mid. Generations are well received. All Stars Racing, Transformers well received. They started off strong, and then it was like Lost World's like, you know. The 90s obviously started with Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles. That was strong. The 2000s, you started with, you know, Adventure 2, Heroes being the GOAT, obviously. And then after that, it was like... Oh, also you had the advanced games as well. But, you know.
今回のようにイヤーオブシャドウとして、シャドウにスポットライトが当てられたっていうのも、もうずっとこうサブキャラクターたちにスポットライトを当てたかったので、本当に良かったなと思ってますし、もしね機会があれば、それ以外のなかなか日の目の見ないキャラクターいっぱいいるので、そういうキャラたちにも、そういうチャンスをあげたいなとは思いますね。
So yeah, as you know, it takes a long time to make a Sonic game, but we have more and more media coming out supporting, you know, the Sonic franchise, and this allows us to, you know, showcase some other characters. Because it does, you know, even if we wanted to do a spin-off title, it would still take a lot of time. But thanks to Paramount Plus, we have the Knuckles TV show that's really successful. We have the movie coming out, and this is the year of Shadow, so we can.
Where is the movie trailer, man?
At Shadow now. And show off, you know, everything cool about him. It's going to be in the movies. We have him in the game, and it really allows us to, you know, showcase a lot of the other sub-characters in the greater Sonic franchise. And moving forward, you know, if we have the chance, we would like to do this for more characters. We do have a lot of characters in the Sonic universe, and if we have the chance to, we'd like to point a spotlight at them too.
At who? Oh, at them too.
Yeah, so at other characters as well.
Got it. Yeah, and it's like...
He's not giving any names, though.
Especially
I know Fidel's trying to get a name out of him, like, say, like, Metal Sonic or Silver or something like that. If movie 4 is, like, Silver heavy, which I don't think it will be, because if they're going in order, then movie 4 is going to be, like, Metal Sonic, right? But if movie 4 is Silver heavy, then we got to get that Silver game. I'm just saying. I would love the Silver game. I'm just saying, like, the Psychokinesis deserves another shot. If we got a Silver game, and they went in... You could make it a Shadow and Silver game if you want, just so that Shadow could be like the Sonic gameplay of the game, you know, just to, you know, back it up, I guess, you know, help it sell. But like, we need that Silver shit, okay? Man, give us 062, I don't care. Like, give us another game where it's Sonic Shadow Silver again. That way, 2/3 of the game will be like Sonic style gameplay. But I just need a Silver campaign, man. I need that shit, right? I just do. I need that in my life, man. Rambo the Boss donated $5 and said, so basically Shadow Generations is going to be the lost good game of the decade until the next decade got you. I'm not saying that, but they do have a problem with the middle of the decade. So they might break it this time. They might just break it this time, okay? They just need one more game that's not mid. I don't know what that game is going to be, but I'm guessing Frontiers 2 is going to come out 4 years after Frontiers 1. 4 to 5 years, so we're looking at 2026 for whatever they call Frontiers 2, maybe 2027. But then we've also got the rumored Heroes remake, which is coming out on Unreal Engine, which Midori and Zippo both talked about. But I don't know, right? If the Heroes remake is still happening, then I'm guessing Frontiers 2 would be either a year before that or a year after that. So if the Heroes remake is 2026, then that means Frontiers 2 would either be 2025 or 2027. I don't know, but yeah, they can't really butcher a Heroes remake. Heroes is not a hard game to do because people already bitched about the controls, so it's gonna be hard for you to make controls that people like less. You know, I don't see how they would butcher it. Like, how? Like, I don't know. They'll find a way, right? But you know.
I cover this, right? Maybe you've seen a video or something I've done out there. And I cover like a lot of fan games, and I talk about, I'm talking about Sonic and playing Sonic stuff all the time, and I was curious, like, what inspiration do you guys take from the fans? Because there's like a lot of mods and a lot of fan projects. Like, are there ones you guys really look at for inspiration that you guys really take to heart, and look at?
ファンゲームにインスパイアされてることがありますか？
やっぱりファンゲームっていうのは、我々が作ったゲームをこうモッドで触って違うファンの間で楽しめるように。
Yibby said Midori is dead to us now. Man, you lot are really simping for Midori on Twitter because I don't know why you lot was so upset that an anonymous leaker was lying about their identity. Like if I was an anonymous Sonic leaker, would I tell everyone on my anonymous Sonic leaker Twitter page that I'm a black British Sonic fan? Like, I've already narrowed it down to like 2 people. Is it premydaremy or is it Temsy? Like, what the fuck? Like, how many do you know? So obviously you're gonna, like, if you're a leaker, you're not gonna be like, I'm a white American male. Like, you're just gonna be like, yeah, I'm a Japanese woman. Like, Sega, look in Japan for the leaker. Don't look in America. Like, that just makes sense to me. But you lot were just simping so much that you got upset when you found out Midori wasn't a woman. Like, of course an anonymous leaker is not going to tell you everything about themselves. So you gotta just, like, come for the leaks and then dip. Like, stop getting attached to these people online, okay? You don't know them. Marshall donated $2 and said a physics-based psychokinesis silver platformer with actual good combat set in a futuristic world would be a dream come true. Yeah, like, when I was playing Control, if you guys know that game, I was thinking about that a lot. I was like, imagine a silver game with this level of polish and, like, more platforming. It would be crazy, though. It would be crazy. It would be really crazy.
やっぱり我々としてはやっぱりそうファンの方に楽しんでもらえるものを常に新しいものを出すことに注力しているので、やっぱりファンゲームはあくまでもすでにリリースしたタイトルをベースとしたものですけども、我々はそうじゃなくて常にこうブランニューの新しいものを出すことに、専念しているので、ファンの方がファンゲームで楽しんでもらうのは全然構わないですけども、やっぱり我々のこの新しいゲームっていうのを楽しみにしていただきたいなと思います。
So yeah, the fans are usually taking a look at the games that we've released and then kind of changing them or modding them in a way that is different from how we released it, but it's still kind of the base is a game that we've already created and released. And what we really want to do for fans is surprise them with.
Remember when the boss donated $5 and said, you're not giving Sega enough credit? We thought they wouldn't mess up the boost off the gens and they proved us wrong. Give them time. Look, again, look, I don't do faith, okay? Right? Faith is belief without evidence. So I don't have no faith. I don't have no faith in no company. Ubisoft disappointed me. Sega's disappointed me before. So like they could make a 10 out of 10 Sonic game and then the next game will come out and I'll still have anxiety. Like they could fuck this one up, right? The only people that I still have faith in are like Nintendo with 3D Mario because it's like they just don't miss. Like I mean, okay, 3D World wasn't the greatest game ever, but you know they don't miss, right? So you just have to go in like just because they did something great before doesn't guarantee that the next thing is gonna be great as well. And that's something that as you grow up you'll start to notice it. Like it happens with music as well. Like your favorite artists will put out classic albums and then eventually they drop that one album that's like, oh, that doesn't meet the expectations that I had from the music you made before. And you have to like accept that. And that's just part of like getting older, you know? So yeah. When Colors came out, that was the first time that I felt like as a Sonic fan, like, oh, not everything you put out is great just because it's Sonic. Like, you can put out things I don't like, you know? And it was a weird feeling, but it is what it is. Like, I think Shadow Gems looks good. Does that mean that the next game will be good? Who knows? We have to see it. We have to see it, right? Ramadan was donated another $5 and said, by the way, I swear I'm not trying to be negative. Forces just scarred my trust in Sega. Excited as hell for Shadow, though. I think Forces scarred a lot of people's trust in Sega, to be honest. Like, I think Forces broke a lot of people because people made excuses before Forces, right? Because Forces was the first, like, multiplayer Sonic game off the gens. So like with Lost World, they were like, oh, okay, Lost World was kind of mid, but it was just on the Wii U. No one cares about the Wii U, right? And then boom, Rise of Lyric. Well, that's not Sonic Team. Another Wii U. Like, we don't care about the Wii U. Ignore that shit. So when Forces was coming out, it's like, okay, this is the first real multiplayer since gens. They're gonna come hard this time, and they did not in fact come hard. They came soft. Pause. So it was like, oh, they can fumble the bag off the generations. And after that, I think the skepticism really just set in for a lot of people. Marshall donated $2 and said, yeah, Prime, give Sega a break. They're only a small indie studio. Yeah, look, even a small indie studio can make a game that shows like effort and passion. That's the thing. Like with Mania and Forces, we all saw it. Like everyone knew that Mania had a lower budget than Forces, but Mania felt like more effort was put into it. And that's the thing I said when I was gushing over these HUDs and these menus and the presentation in Shadow Gens. I said, people can tell when you're putting in effort. Like, people can see it in the products you make. They can tell when you're trying hard, and they can tell when you're phoning something in, right? It's so clearly obvious, unless you're intentionally being blind because you want to like something, right? Everyone can see it. And with Shadow Gens, everyone has noticed the effort put into the game, the presentation. You know, we can see it, right? And it's the same with like Mania and Forces, right? When they first announced Mania and Forces, I was more hyped for Forces because, well, I care more about Modern Sonic. Mania was like, oh, another 2D sprite-based game, who cares? But then as more info and more gameplay shows up, you're like, okay, but this 2D sprite-based game looks really fucking good. Like, this is like passion, right? And you felt that. So that's just one of those things that just happens, that you can feel effort and it affects how you perceive a game, you know?
Brand new content, brand new gameplay that they've never even seen before. So we don't really kind of look at the fan games all that much because they're all based off of the content that we created originally.
So basically, they're saying the fan games ain't doing shit new, so we need to do new shit, basically. That's what Izuka seems to be saying. Marshall donated $2 and said, yeah, no, I'm sorry, but the way fans give this company so much benefit, the doubt honestly baffles me. They just straight up don't deserve it. I mean, look, I think a lot of that is younger fans, and I think I was like that too when I was younger. Like, Sega could do no wrong at one point until they did. So that's just part of being younger. You got more optimism and, you know, faith and all that shit, and then you get older and life beats that out of you, basically. Ram the Boss donated $5 and said, I wasn't part of the defense squad when Forces were coming out, but I had faith in it. The disappointment hit different when it came out. I think for me, I stopped having faith in Forces the moment we saw the classic Sonic in Green Hill gameplay reveal, and I was like, this is horrible. They learned nothing. Like, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I know where they're at mentally. Before that, I still had faith. When they showed Sunset Heights, you know, the first reveal, when we didn't see the first 2D section, and I thought there was no 2D. Some of you may remember that clip. I still had faith then. When I saw classic Green Hill, I was like, no, I'm done with that whole faith thing. And since then, I haven't had any. But yeah.
We really want to challenge ourselves to think outside.
Okay, so chat remembers the clip. Okay, we get it.
Get fans excited that much because they're all based off of the content that we created originally, and we really want to challenge ourselves to think outside of the box and bring these new experiences to really get fans excited again and get them interested in playing the brand new content for us.
And right now we're seeing it with Shadow, right, where, you know, apparently there's going to be an open hub world, and obviously Frontiers are an open zone. And you guys got a lot of feedback from Frontiers and even the final Horizon expansion. What do you guys, now that we're like, I want to say now that we're 2-3 years into the open zone formula, what have you guys learned and what do you think you want to like improve and do?
2-3 years, like a year and a half, relax.
ソニックフロンティアは、オープンゾーンっていう新しいテーマを
Marshall donated $2. My heart still goes out to 2017 Prem, bro. Went through so much BS. Oh god, Twitter in 2017, horrible. Oh god, horrible.
一つのゲームとして成立させるのかっていうのが、開発チームもすごく大きなチャレンジで、それがやっとこうソニックフロンティアという形で、みんなの納得いく形にこうできたと思うんですけども、やっぱりまだまだこのオープンゾーンっていうテーマに関してはいろいろチャレンジしたいことはたくさんあるので、またちょっと、対策を作るにはね、すごい何年もかかることになるので、すぐにその結果がお見せできないですけども、やっぱりこう長い時間かけてこのオープンゾーンというテーマをこうもっとエクスパンションしたいなとは思います。
Yes, for Sonic Frontiers, Open Zone was really the theme that the team wanted to challenge themselves with delivering against. And they realized as they were creating it, there's a lot of times when the Open Zone gameplay, it's really fun, it's really easy to jump into. But there's also some places that were really, really hard to play. And as they were developing Sonic Frontiers, they kept working and challenging themselves to iron those things out and really polish the game to get it to be where they were happy with releasing it as a final product. And that's what Sonic Frontiers was. And even after they released it, there were still more challenges that they had and still more things that they wanted to polish and iron out. So they continued working on it with the updates and additional work. And they realized that it's still going to take many more years of development. There's still lots of challenges and lots of additional work they need to put in to really make it the best that it can be. They can't just, unfortunately...
Lucina donated £2 and said, not a single 2D. Man, chat never gonna let this one go, man. Oh my god. Oh my god. John Leone donated $5 through Super Chat. If you want to see the difference in effort, compare Shadow's animation to Forces to Sonic X Shadow Gen. Man, in the last stream, man, we were going back and forth between Forces and Shadow Gens and just comparing the lack of effort in Forces to the more effort in Shadow Gens. It was like night and day. It was like night and day. I think people didn't realize back when Forces was coming out, but like when I started doing the comparisons, people were looking at like, yeah, we see what you mean, Prem. Like the effort is just like, it's another level, right? Like, and that's why it was so weird and people were comparing this level to Forces. It's like no, like do people remember how bad Forces was? Like Lost Valley was a level in the game. Like Luminous Forest was a level in that game. This is not that, right? It's just not, this is nowhere near Forces. Like Forces was horrible, but it is what it is, man. I think people are just a bit scared of seeing straight lines. I'm not anti-linear when it comes to Sonic games. I love linearity, man. I love Sonic 2. Heroes is mostly linear for the most part. I mean, there's some cool shortcuts you can take, but it's a mostly linear game. I just think good level design doesn't have to be super open. I think having alternative routes is a great thing, but like some of those Unleashed side levels are just like one main path, but it's just really fucking good. It's really fun,
Like pull it out of their pocket and be like, here you go, this is the perfect version. They do want to continue iterating on it, polishing it, hearing that feedback, playing it themselves, and get it to where it should be in the future.
People don't understand what makes a level good. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to like describe why you like certain levels. I used to be one of those like adventure like supremacists years ago where I was like, it needs to feel like Adventure 1 to be good. And I mean, Adventure 1 is great. Love Adventure 1. But it's like, I have to sit down and think to myself, like, there's not one right answer on how level design should be. There's multiple approaches to level design, multiple styles. Sonic Rush level design is different from Adventure 1. So Adventure 1 is different from Heroes, different from Adventure 2. But they all got great levels. Unleashed got great levels. They're all different styles of level design. And I think not every game has to be the same in terms of level design. I just need to feel like I'm being visually stimulated and then also mechanically stimulated in terms of what I'm doing. And then obviously audibly stimulated, so the music. It needs to look good, it needs to sound good, but then also needs to play good, right? Those are the three elements. So you don't want it to be Green Hill, like Cyberspace. You don't want it to be mid-EDM, like Cyberspace. You want it to be like great music, great aesthetics, great spectacle, but then it needs to feel like I'm playing a game as well, which Forces forgot that part, right? Because like Forces aesthetics weren't bad. Like Luminous Forest is not a bad looking environment. Metropolitan Highway was a beautiful environment, right? Beautiful environment, but it's just as a level was just pretty simple. Not much is being done, right? So you get those three things right, the level could be super linear, it could be super open, but if you get those three elements right, the level will be a great level. And that's why cyberspace is such an issue, because they kind of felt like if we just copy the level design from better Sonic games and put them into cyberspace, then cyberspace will be good. And it's like, no, you're missing other elements, you know. Gabriel Cousins donated $5 and said, who are your favorite and least favorite Sonic characters and why? Least favorite, Marine the Raccoon. Can't stand Marine the Raccoon. Who else can't I stand? Classic Sonic. And I think people get mad when I say Classic Sonic because they think I'm hating on the classics. When I say Classic Sonic, I mean the 2010s Classic Sonic, not, you know, the 90s shit. I don't have a problem with 90s Sonic, okay? I mean, like, the bringing him back as, like, the baby Sonic. That's what I mean when I say Classic Sonic. I can't stand that. Can't stand Marine. If we're considering the Wish to be characters, then fuck them as well. I think that's it, really. Who else is that I can't? I think those are the main ones I can't stand. Favorite, obviously, Jason Sonic, Ryan Sonic, Shadow, obviously, Silver, Knuckles, Blaze, Rouge. Pretty much a lot of the characters, like 4Kids era, like, fuck, man, every character in Sonic Rivals 2 was pretty much great. I loved all those characters, man. Like, they were all great. I don't have anything bad to say about them. When they're done right, I think I loved all of those characters, you know?
Right. And it's like, for me, right, as like a big fan, like, I loved it because it made me feel like the Sonic CD opening. You know, like,
CD
on it, polishing it, hearing that feedback, playing it themselves, and get it to where.
my dream has always been to like feel like I'm running through the Sonic CD intro, and I feel like Frontiers is like the closest we got to that, where I'm running and you know there's loops and we're going around Skyer, so that to me.
There weren't that many loops in Frontiers Open Zone, but you know, not that many.
Right, and I think what's so cool about the formula, the Frontiers formula, is just like, yeah, the sense of freedom that Sonic has, right? And I feel like one thing that I think was missing in Frontiers was...
Remember the Boston 85 said, can't believe they messed up Sonic's startup run in Forces. I have no idea how you messed that up. People are underestimating how bad Forces was. I'm trying to remember what the startup run was, but yeah, Forces, yeah, I mean, we could write essays about the problems of Forces and, you know, how they didn't trust the player to actually play the game. There's just so many issues. Blue Legend donated $5 and said, yeah, in terms of gameplay feel, this is the best they can do. It won't be on some gens unleash speed and acceleration. Yeah, I mean, look, there's always more they can do, but we have to see. I think my biggest concern is that if this team is different from the Frontiers team and they make something that's better than Frontiers, does that mean that Frontiers 2 is going to be made by the Frontiers 1 team and they won't incorporate the things that they learned in Shadow Gens? Because then that means that Frontiers 2 might be a step back. You know? That's something that I'm concerned about. I don't know. Because right now it seems like Shadow Gens is basically just... It's like better Frontiers. Not in terms of like the Titan battles. I don't think this has that. But like, it seems like better Frontiers in terms of like the levels. And even the open zone looks more interconnected than the Frontiers open zone, where everything just felt like it was tacked on top of a generic world. I don't know.
Sort of levels that felt, or like the areas feeling more traditional Sonic-like, you know, like Kronos Island feels like a very typical grassy area as opposed to something like, you know, Green Hill, or, you know, Chaos Island is very volcano-y, but it's not like lava reef. And so...
Chaos Island was a good looking area, I think.
If we're able to make those areas feel alive and open, that would be incredible. Yeah, that's where the craziness would come from, for sure. Okay. And yeah, and obviously, we know that there's these the Chow rescue missions in Sonic Shadow Generations, right? The Chow have been back-ended for a long time, right? Is it time? Is it time for the Chow to come back into the spotlight, have us take care of them, do something with them? We need them.
そうですね。今回のチャオレスキューに関してはあくまでもソニックジェネレーションっていうもう2011 年
Midori already said we're getting a Child mobile game, right? The Child Gardens game, so we know that the Child Gardens is coming back, just not in the main series at
新
least.
しい要素を出そうということで今回チャオレスキューっていうのを出したんでここは本当に皆さんに間違えてほしくないんですけども、チャオレスキューはあくまでもアクションゲームとしてのミッションなのでチャオガーデンではないんですここはちゃんと誤解のないように皆さんにお伝えしておきたいんですけども、皆さんがねチャオを今もこう愛してくれているのは非常に嬉しいですし、またねチャオがこう日の目を当たるようなそういう展開もねこの先は考えていきたいなと。我々もすごくチャオが大切なキャラクターだと思ってます。
So yes, the Chow Rescue feature was something we put in the Sonic Generations game, which came out in 2011, and we realized a lot of people have played through Sonic Generations many times since 2011.
I can't believe how old the game is
put in
now.
there as something for people who've already played the game to kind of go back in there and re-experience Sonic Generations, but have new things to do inside of there.
You know what they should have done to Generations to make people come back to it? They should have taken that hard mode that they had on the bosses and added it to the levels. Made hard versions of the levels and made the rankings actually hard. That would have been a thing to come back to, you know, but there's so much they could have done with base gens that they didn't do in the re-release, but that's a topic for another day.
Please, and just to make sure there's no mistaking this, the Chow Rescue is like a mission inside of the action game. It's not the Chow Garden. So I just want to make sure that's clear with everyone. But we realize a lot of people love Chow, and that really kind of makes us happy. It's really good to think that, this thing that we made, people really, really enjoy and they want more of. So it's something that we want to even think about for the future. We know it's important to the Sonic franchise, and we know that people really like it. So we do want to support Chow moving forward as well.
That's great. And I think that's a big thing to balance with Sonic is new stuff with old stuff, right? Yeah. And I know there's a lot of criticism sometimes when people say Green Hill Zone again, or Chemical Plant again. How do you guys decide what to balance between do you guys think moving forward you want to try to just go brand new stuff completely, or do you think it's important to bring the past back and mix it with the future stuff?
はい、今回のシャドウでこのソニック&シャドウジェネレーションズはもうゲームのコンセプトが過去を振り返って
He nodded his head when he heard Green Hill.
取り戻していくっていう
Wow, I love that.
皆さんの見覚えのあるステージがたくさん登場するかと思うんですけども我々としてはその何回もグリーンヒール使ったり何回もケミカルブランドを使ったりっていうことは別に望んでるわけではないのでそれは本当にストーリーベースで新しい舞台がベースのゲームだったら当然新しい地形が出てきますし過去に振り返るようないろんな知ってる街に行くようなゲームだったら当然またグリーンヒルが出てきますし、そういうストーリーベースとかそのゲームのコンセプトに合ったステージを使うようにしてます。
So for Sonic X Shadow Generations, the whole game concept was kind of revisiting the great things from the past and playing from the past all the way to the present. So we do have a lot of the legendary, the real classic things that people remember from Sonic and from Shadow in that game, because that's part of the concept. But for us as developers, we do realize we do, use Green Hill and Chemical Plant does show up. It's not that we want to keep reusing these many, many times, but it's really based on the story that we want to tell. If we want to tell a new story with new locations, then the game will feature these new locations. But if the story needs to go back and go to these places,
We don't need to go back to Green Hill, Chemical Plant.
We can go to those places.
We've done that enough.
To Green Hill Zone, we will go there.
We don't have to go there.
It really depends
We
on
don't.
the story that we're going to be telling.
That no story warrants that. No story warrants
You
that.
gotta go back to Station Square. What's going on in Station Square?
I mean, we want to see Station Square though, just not Green Hill for the 50th fucking timeline. We don't need that.
But yeah, no, and the thing is, like, it's so cool, especially with Sonic Shadow Generation. Like, I love the idea of a remaster, like having just new stuff, and also like it's clever to be able to bring back Shadow in a game about bringing back the past. So it's a good mix of stuff. Do you think going forward this is the best way? Like, do you think this is how you want to do future remasters or re-releases? Because I know a lot of fans want, Sonic Unleashed back. We want, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2.
We want the
I think
GOAT.
it is a good
We want
idea
heroes.
to bring those games back and flesh out that universe more, right?
そうですね。確かに今回の、ソニックジェネレーションズをもう一回リマスターするにあたって、やっぱりファンの声も大きかったから、ソニックジェネレーションズをもう一回っていう思いはありましたけども、やっぱり普通にリマスターするだけだと、やっぱりまた同じゲームだと思われてしまうので、今回にそのシャドウジェネレーションを足したっていうのは我々の中でもすごくいい方法だなと思ってます。ただこの先このリマスターっていう方法を、続けていくかどうかはちょっとまだ決めてないですし、この先のロードマップいろいろ含めて考えていきたいなとは思います。
Yeah, so Sonic Generations, it was a game that the fans really wanted to play again. They really wanted to remaster, and they wanted to play it one more time, which is why we did plan to remaster it. And we think we did a really good job with Sonic X Shadow Generations in bringing that Shadow content in there. A lot of people maybe, they'd say like, oh, it's just a remaster. It's just the same game I played before. There's nothing new in it.
Oh, yeah.
But because we brought that Shadow content in, it really did feel like a new game with more content. But that doesn't mean that's going to be the formula moving forward. We're not even really sure at this point, are we going to continue just remastering titles? Because we do want to make new games as well.
But we still need that GOAT remaster though.
Add that to our roadmap, but we really need to sit down first and look at that roadmap and think about what's coming next and what we.
Basically, what they're saying is, if this joint sells, then you're getting more of it. If it don't sell, then you're not getting. That's all they're saying, right? Like, this is all about money, right? Obviously, I'm not saying Izuka's not passionate, but it's about dinero, okay? We know what's up. ERF GS45 donated 10 Swiss francs. And it says, I just came on now. The Shadow Gens look less like Frontiers and more like actual gens now. The 3DS gens mix used instead of that EDM shit or what? You mean less like Frontiers and more like actual... To me, Shadow Gens looks more like Frontiers because it's like the same engine and similar like open zone gameplay. But it's way more polished than the Frontiers though. Shadow Gens doesn't look like Sonic Gens because it doesn't look like it graphically. It doesn't have the same physics. It's got a whole different control scheme. It doesn't have the drift and all those other things. And the level design doesn't look like base. Oh, holy fuck! Holy fuck! Man, I'm getting behind, man. Gabriel Cousins with the $20. With the $20. I think I'm like 2 donations behind. I've got so much to go through, man. Gabriel Cousins donated $20. Said, if you were the Takashi Iizuka of everyone's dreams and you had the most authority on what Sonic games were going to be made in the future, what kind of Sonic games would you create and prioritize over the others and why? Ooh, that's an interesting one. What would I prioritize? I mean, if I was taking over today, I guess people want to see Frontiers, but like a sequel to that. So, I mean, you'd have to make that. But I'll just make sure it's done like with the utmost passion and effort. Like, no cut corners, basically. And I'll charge full price, but it will be like, we went in. Like, cyberspace would be crazy. The mechanics would be insane. Difficulty options would be, like, well done so that those who want an easy experience can get that. Those who want challenge will get that, too. Rankings will be tough. But, yeah, I think that's what I'll do. In terms of re-releases, like, you have to do that, too. Bring back old games as well. But, yeah, I think it's balancing, like, the hardcore market with the casual market. I mean, you can never please everyone, but... you got to do your best at whatever you're trying to do. So if you're making a classic game like Mania, then you got to do your best. If you're making a boost game, you got to do your best. But don't baby the player too much unless they themselves want to be babied. There should be options for that. I'm getting so behind, man. ERFGF's $45.85 and said, I just came on now. The Shadows look like Frontiers and more like extra gems. Wait, wasn't that before? Didn't I read that before? Am I tripping? Like, I'm so getting lost. I'm like, is that deja vu? I feel like I just read that. But yeah, I literally just read that. I think I just answered that a few seconds ago. Did I not? I'm getting so lost now. I feel like I'm getting old. Ram of the Boss donated $5 and said, translation, if the budget requires us to go back to Green Hill, we will. Yeah, Green Hill, I feel like they just go back to it because they got the assets there, you know. Generations assets have been using so much shit, like side shit as well. There's a lot of things that's been used in. If I read everything, I think I haven't missed anything. I think that's everything, yeah. But thank you everyone for the support. But yeah. Shadow Gens looks more like Frontiers than it looks like Generations.
Just getting new content in like the Sonic universe, especially. What's a character? Who's your favorite Sonic character?
Oh, Shadow.
It's Shadow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
The Shadow.
And like for this game, Sonic Shadow Generation, with the movie coming up, right? Is it cool revisiting the character and seeing like, because I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of new stories of him that we don't know of, and I'm curious to see, especially. How do you think the character is going to go forward too? Because a lot of Shadow's character has been, his past and how his past affects him. And I can't wait to see what it's like today's Shadow. What is he going through and what's he going to go through?
質問のない
質問は、ですね、今回、そのシャドウジェネレーションの中で、シャドウっていうキャラをもうちょっと深くプレゼンすることになるので、みんながシャドウはどういうキャラなのかもっと理解できるようになりますけど、今後、一応過去シャドウいつも過去の話。
Oh wait, so the translator is actually translating this question, so you didn't get that one. The other ones Zuka understood.
シャドウはどういうキャラになっていくのかっていうような質問をしてます。
なるほどね。今年はイヤー・オブ・シャドウとしてこのソニック・シャドウ・ジェネレーションとあとムービーの中でもシャドウが登場しますけどもこれらを通じてシャドウっていうキャラクターが、世界中にすごく認知されると思ってるんですね。で特に今回の、シャドウ・ジェネレーションはシャドウの、これまでのシリーズで何回か語られてきたこのシャドウの過去を知らない人にも楽しんでもらえるようにシャドウとはどういうキャラクターなのかっていうのを簡単に紹介するコンテンツも用意してます。なので、初めてシャドウに触れるっていう方が、このゲームとあと映画とで、たくさん増えると思うので、それを元にシャドウが今後どう活躍していくかっていうのは乞うご期待という感じですね。
Yes, so because this is the year of Shadow, we have Sonic X Shadow Generations coming out. We also have Shadow in the movie. And in these two, in the game and in the movie, we're going to see Shadow become a very popular and kind of recognized character by a lot of people. And what we wanted to do with the Shadow Generations portion, is really make sure we're telling the story of Shadow, which has been told through various different games all throughout the timeline, but be able to distill that down and have something that's easy for anyone who's new to the property, who maybe just saw the movie, come in and get that explanation of who Shadow is as a character.
So the SA2
so
moment again, basically.
Shadow, and when they watch the movie and they play the games, they're going to really know who Shadow is as a character. Now, where Shadow goes from there is going to be something to really enjoy moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so exciting about Sonic for me right now, especially as a fan, is just the future. Because it feels like we have our footing now. We got the Frontiers formula, especially for the games, and we can go forward expecting new stories and new character movements and everything. And one big thing I was really curious about was a lot of times with Sonic, people ask for different eras, right? Like adventure formula, beast formula, and open zone formula, right? And I know a lot of people like to argue about momentum-based platforming versus, boost-based. And
Hold on. I mean, you can have momentum in a boost game, though. Let's not, like, Gens and Unleashed still had momentum on the rails. Let's not forget that.
is it something you guys look at when you think of the future now of, like, making more levels designed around Sonic's momentum instead of environments that maybe have a lot of boost pads and give you, more arbitrary speed as opposed to ones that come with like going down a hill and sliding all the way up, Because I love the boost. I think it's like really exhilarating. But so I know there's a lot of people that like value traditional sort of like going down a hill to go really fast forward somewhere.
そうですね、本当に長い歴史の中でソニックのゲームもいろんなタイプがあるので、そういったファンの方がソニックのどこを好きでいてくれるかっていうのは本当にみんな様々だと思うんですね。大きく分けてクラシックシリーズとやっぱりモダンシリーズ、それとブーストが加わってオープンゾーンになったので、大きくそういう遍歴を遂げているので、それぞれにこう皆さんが楽しんでもらえるようなものを提供したいなとは思ってます。どれか1個に絞るんじゃなくて、それぞれの好きなソニックゲームを提供したいなと。クラシックが好きな人のために昨年ソニックスーパースターズをリリースしましたけれども、あれはこうブーストなんかよりも地形を使って加速していくような遊びを楽しんでもらいたい。で今回の、ソニックシャドウジェネレーションはソニックアドベンチャー以降のリニアなゲームプレイを楽しんでもらえるゲームですけども、そういった形でこういろんなソニックファンの方にこう毎年いろんなタイトルを提供することによって皆さんの満足してもらいたいと願っています。
So we have a very long history of releasing games. We have so many games, and a lot of them have very different kind of game styles and gameplay types.
For sure, yeah.
So
yeah.
we believe we even have a wide variety of fans that like certain parts of certain Sonic games, and they become kind of fans of that game type. And it's fine. It's great. We have the classic games that really have a lot of that, what people say is momentum. Gameplay. It's
what we say them. I mean, it is.
We have the modern style, which is really started out with a lot of boosting and using boost.
No, it didn't.
Kind of evolved into the open zone game.
It started with the adventure games.
But we realized all of our fans kind of because they like these different parts of the games and the elements and the features of the games. We really need to be making a lot of different variety of games, a lot of styles of games to appeal to the things that people like about Sonic games. So even last year we released Sonic Superstars, which was that classic 2D formula, using the world to jump to new higher locations and being able to run through in that side-scrolling platform action format. That was created specifically for people who like that classic gameplay. And this year we have Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is using that linear format that people really liked. In the boost gameplay, because we know people do like that boost gameplay and they do like feeling that exhilaration of boosting. So we do want to continue bringing new games out and a wide variety of games to meet the expectations and the desires of our fans who want that kind of gameplay.
And I mean, I think it's telling a lot that you guys care, and I think for me, as someone who I see what everyone's saying, I'm always hearing what people have to say to me and even to you guys online, everything. For me, I can understand it's definitely overwhelming, but what I love is I see you guys try, and I see the effort and I see that like.
I mean, you can't give everyone there's so many Sonic formulas. You can't give everyone the exact formula they want. I don't expect that. Because there's so many different styles of Sonic game, but it's like when you pick a style, like do it well, right? And that's what I think, right? Like I know I didn't like Sonic CD. But like you could tell that they put effort into Sonic CD, right? Whereas with like a Forces, it doesn't matter what style it is. I don't think they put a lot of effort into that. And you can respect effort at the end of the day. Even if it's not your favorite style, you could be like, this isn't my favorite style of game, but I respect the effort put into this. Like if you're doing a style, just like show that you give a fuck about that style. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I see it. If you're gonna make a game like Generations, then do it properly. If you're going to make a game like Mania, like a classic game, then do it properly. If you're going to do something that's like, riders, and do it properly. Respect the player. Don't just automate everything because you don't want to scare the casuals away. There are ways to not scare the casuals away without pissing off hardcore fans, which I think is what you did with Forces. You were like, let's make this dashing like a maniac thing, and like that way casuals won't die and journalists won't die. And it's like you're so scared of challenging anyone. Like if we look at Street Fighter 6 as an example, they did it perfectly, right? They had the modern gameplay style that people who were a bit less, able to do the classic shit with the motion inputs, they could use that, right? And they could still play online. They took less damage, or they inflicted less damage because of the modern style, but they could still play online, But you kept the classic style in because you didn't just say everyone must play modern, because you would have pissed off all the hardcore people that really have been playing these games for years. So you kept both. And then they had the dynamic mode, which is offline only, which the only people that will use that is kind of like you give it to a friend to play the game for like a few minutes or whatever. They'll use that. It's not for anyone who's really buying the game, but it's like those tiers, those layers. A lot of these games come out like God of War, and it's like they have that baby mode where it's like, I just want to experience the story. And you can have that, but then you can't like baby the main modes too. Like you have to have the main modes, you have to have the challenging modes. And that's what I think. Like rail momentum and things like that should be in these games. But if you want to turn it off on an easy mode where the rails are basically automated, then have at it. But then don't turn it off for everyone. That's the way I see it.
We're right there, we're at a point where the series, I feel like, is taken seriously. There's energy to it, there's excitement, even in the music, right? Like I feel like the music, especially with Frontiers, with the Titan themes and everything. I was actually curious, for Sonic Frontiers, what is your favorite Titan fight and song? Which one's your favorite? What's the one that makes you pump the most?
The first one, the best one.
一番好きな競技バトルは
フロンティアですか？フロンティアの質問が来ると思ってなかった。
You didn't think you'd be getting a Sonic Frontiers
I was
question.
curious because I love the game so much. I was so curious.
フロンティアの俺、巨人の名前オフィシャルのが
島で言わないとダメか。
ちょっとフロンティアの質問はカットしてくれないかな。
Zuka's trying to remember the names of the Titan fights.
We're not sure if we can give you like a legit.
You don't even know?
I was just curious. As a fan,
Ask Kishimoto.
don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't think we have an answer for you.
It's okay. It's okay. But like for at least this release with Shadow and everything, I know you probably can't dive too deep into it, but those wings look so cool.
Yeah.
And the Doom powers, right? And, what can you tell us about the Doom powers at least for now?
How many Doom powers are we getting? Because they said there was going to be other ones, right? So far we just seen the Chaos Control, right?
今ドゥームパワーは今回の展示して出展しているビルドではドゥームスピアーズって、カオススピアーみたいなスピアーを複数発射することができる、ドゥームパワーを、実際遊べる形で出展してるんですけども、それとあとトレーラーにあった
Chaos Control isn't a Doom power?
羽とかはちょっと今後
I thought that was... So what is the Doom power
してい
then?
くことになるので、今後の情報にご期待くださいという感じですね。
So yes, the Doom powers are something new for Sonic X Shadow generation.
The wings?
It's something unique for Shadow to really
okay.
make the most of. And what you saw in the trailers was the Doom spears. It's kind of like
The
a
spears.
spear.
Oh,
but you
okay, that's
get
the
to
Doom
use
power.
it in multiples. So it's not just a single spear, but multiples. And also in the trailer, you saw the wings that Shadow has. Can't really get into much more than that.
I hope they use those wings
Cool.
really
We
well.
do hope you stay tuned for more conversations about the Doom powers in the future.
Well, I mean, just to wrap up, right? I did want to say, just like from the heart, for me, like, thank you, because for me, like, Sonic is everything. I've grown up with it and I've talked about it, and I've become like a figurehead in the community as like the Sonic hype guy. And it's just because I love Sonic and I love talking about the character and playing it and just consuming everything you guys have been doing. And so I just like really like I feel like it's rare to just hear a genuine thank you because like I think a lot of fans agree like it's like you guys are making something and made something that people from their childhood to adulthood in some way have consumed Sonic. But the fans that have grown up with it now like feel a lot of good energy. So I just wanted to tell you guys are doing a great job and then like I thank you so much for everything. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Zuko's just heard thank you.
That's what I got. So thank y'all for watching.
Oh gosh.
Hype.
All right.
Look, let's see.
We got 10 things I discovered playing Sonic Shadow Generation. Let's see what things have been discovered that we might not know about.
Vuani, the way I does honey. Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Game Sketch. Today, and only today, we are here to talk about Sonic X Shadow Generations. Of course, as you all know, I got a chance to play it, but I figured today, now that I've gathered my thoughts, I sit down and watch a lot of gameplay and everything, you know, from my own footage and everything. I'm going to talk about the top 10 things that most excited me when playing. These aren't going to be in order, by the way. I'm just going to give you the top things that from my gameplay experience. And of course, subscribe to your boy if you want to see more content. Welcome to all the new people and all the regulars. I love you. Let's get the easy one out the way, the drop dash. So I got to try the drop dash. A lot of people have been asking about this. Yes, classic Sonic and modern Sonic have a drop dash now, and let me tell you, with classic Sonic, it feels the way you'd expect it. You know, it gives you momentum, you jump.
I wish the classic drop dash was more OP, because the spin dash is so OP that if the drop dash was OP as well, like the speed runs would have been crazy. Like it would have been insane. But yeah,
a good boost for it. It kind of makes the levels kind of crazy, and I'm really excited to see what kind of new runs from people come out of it with the drop dash in the classic levels, because I feel like you could do some
yes, chat, modern has got a drop dash. There is footage of it. We've seen it.
Potentially crazy cool skips nowadays with the drop dash in that game, so that's going to be really exciting. Now with modern Sonic is where it gets really weird, right? Where I'm like, it's cool that it's here, but I don't see myself ever using it, because you sort of have to jump and then you have to hold X, but that sort of air boosts you into the drop dash. Like I said, unless I have no boost or like I have nothing to do in the spot I'm in, I don't feel like I'm gonna use it. But again, maybe I'm wrong. Someone's gonna find a good use for it. Now let's jump right into the Shadow side. The first thing I want to talk about,
it's like one thing on Sonic Gens that's straight to Shadows. Like
exciting thing for me,
that's the one thing they changed.
Victory animations. That's right. Victory animations are back for beating a level, and what's cool is, yes, Shadow will have different, you know,
I was talking about this on Discord. I said Shadow's S rank victory animation he's doing too much, right? Like Shadow's like a bit too cool to be like doing all that. I don't know, like look at his S rank animation.
Victory animations. That's right. Victory animations are back for beating a level, and
I just feel like Shadow too cool to be doing all that shit, right? Like if I like, let me go to let me type in Team Dark Bullet Station A rank, right? If you type in, if you look at Shadow's like victory animations in like older game, he don't really do too much. He's just like, I ain't doing too much movement. Like he just kind of finishes the level. Like he just skates and then just crosses his arms. Like, yeah, the fuck. What the fuck do you think this is? You know? Like, I just feel like the dancing is like too Sonic-y. Like Sonic will do all that breakdance and shit. Shadow is just like, like yeah, like I ass ranked this shit and what? Like what the fuck? He's like dancing and shit. I'm like, that don't sound like Shadow.
Back for beating a level, and what's cool is, yes,
I don't
Shadow
know.
will have different, you know, reactions or different movements depending on your rank. And so far, they are so fucking sick. They range, you know, from him doing a flip. You know,
I think this one is bad. Like, he doesn't do too much.
You know, reactions or different.
He comes down
depending on your rank. And so far,
he just like shows up like, yeah,
fucking sick. They range, you know, from him doing a flip.
He just fixes his
they
gloves.
Range from him grabbing, you know, the level thing that he gets.
I like this one too. This one's simple. It's like, yeah, like
from him.
I finish the level and what? And what?
The level thing that he gets.
Grab the shit
and all to get towards you. If you get to see rank,
yeah, that's sick.
The score,
I like that one.
In discontent, it's so cool seeing.
This one is sick. He's like, you got like a fucking, what was it, a C rank? He's like, I don't have time to move for you. Like, I'm not moving for no one. Like the fuck?
He looks at the score
just looks at the score like,
it's
fuck?
so cool seeing the different animations for Shadow having there, especially coming after Frontiers, where they just straight up remove that. But the one thing we haven't seen are the D rank animations, and I'm so curious to see like what's he
You lot should not be getting D ranks in Generation. Just for the record, like, you shouldn't even know what those animations look like. You're gonna have to, like, intentionally play bad to see that shit.
He's gonna fucking
Real
just pull
talk.
up the gun and be like, hey, do better. The next exciting thing that I noticed from my playtime are that the levels are sort of remixed together. So in a
The way this level starts is just so sick. Like, the intro, like, Shadow's just grinding on the rail and they got the close-up shot. And you can see the fucking...
my playtime are that
Is that the Death Egg? Or whatever the fuck they call that thing? I've actually forgotten what it's called. The Eggman thing.
he's gonna fucking just pull up the gun and be like, hey, do better. The next exciting thing that I noticed from my playtime are that the levels
And he looks
are
at
sort
it
of
and then he looks
remixed
back and then he
together.
just
So
and then he fixes his gloves and then the camera just pan. I love that shit.
my play
The arc, yeah, the arc. Yeah, I
are
forgot.
that the levels are sort of remixed together. So in a cool thing that I almost wish base generations did, what this game does is that it mixes level elements. You know, you'll find yourself on Space Colony Arc, and then it, you know, at some point fuses into what looks like Radical Highway in from Sonic Adventure.
I forgot
2,
the
and then
name.
it
Leave
looks
me
like it
alone,
fuses
okay?
with,
I'm
like,
getting
you know,
older. My
a
brain's
building
slowing
going
down.
downwards, like from Crisis City, but even though it's not necessarily Crisis City, do the drop to Westopolis, you're inside of the arc. Like, it's really cool seeing the different areas you're in just within like one singular level, you know. And I think that's going to be a really cool concept going forward, because what, like, if you're in Kingdom Valley, what is it going to eventually transition to White Acropolis? Like, are we just
We need
looking
White
at a
Acropolis.
level
We need
that
White
fuses
Acropolis.
areas from their different eras? Because to me, that sounds extremely exciting. One thing that really excites me are the alternate paths, right? What's super exciting about this game is the alternate pathways, because that's
I love that
alternate
one. I love that
paths, right?
shortcut.
What's super
It's
exciting
simple,
about
but
this
it's just
game
like a
is the
quick
alternate
one.
pathways, because that's the fun of Sonic levels for me, is even if they lead to the same direction, the idea of pulling off something cool and going to a different direction is exciting to me. It's fun to me, right? All right, from the beginning of the level, you can jump up to a higher grind rail. There's parts where you can, you know, jump onto a wall on the side going all the way up instead of going from the bottom path. There's a whole open zone area. Well, not open zone, sorry, like little open area on a bottom path inside the arc that you can go down to with multiple paths.
I
Or
need to
you
replay
can
06,
skip that
man. I've been
path
missing that game
entirely
recently.
by going to a different path when you're within the arc. So it's really exciting to me.
The day we get that 060 compilation, man. Oh my god. The day we get the 060 compilation, I'm gonna go crazy. Like, real talk.
Seeing the different paths and alt paths you could take. I got to shave down the level to what, like 4.5 minutes when it's about a 6-minute long level. So I was really happy about that. I can't wait to see what crazy shit people do. And speaking of alt pathways, I cannot talk about alt paths without talking about Chaos Control. So I got to talk about, you know, try out Chaos Control, which is Shadow's gimmick, which we didn't even
060
know.
comp will probably happen in 2030. Well, we waited long enough to get the decomps we're getting now, so I'll just have to wait.
About
I'm looking forward
playing
to it,
this
though.
demo, and this was really cool to me. So the idea behind Chaos Control is instead of
Just wait until you kids reach 25. You regret calling us Unc. I'm telling you, something happens after you turn 25 where you start to feel the effects of aging. It, like, literally, it just something just happens and you just feel the shift. It's so weird. It's like within that year, just something happens. You're like, holy fuck! Like, my body is aging. What the fuck is going on?
like in Shadow where you just fly through the level, which would not be fun now. It sort of just slows down time, and at first I was really confused. I'm like, what does this do for me? But it does a few things. One, it stops the timer of the level, right? So if you maybe just want to, you know, shave some time off on a level and try to go as fast as possible, not lose time, that's a cool mechanic in itself, right? But secondly, what's cool is it can create alternate paths for you, right? Because sometimes there's going to be, for example, this rocket that comes at you. If you have enough meter for chaos control,
Oh, those are
you stop the
rockets. I didn't even know what they
you
were.
can stand on them.
I thought
and
they
then
were
you
just
can jump on
cylinders.
a ring above, or there's multiple different paths you can take. There's one path, you know, where the bullets
Oh,
are
they're
syncing
rockets.
together, and if you
Okay.
chaos control at the right moment, you can go on those. So there's a lot of cool shit you can do with chaos control, and I can't wait to see what other uses it has in other levels. It also freezes enemies, and obviously the way you get chaos control
You thought
is
25 would
by
be your
killing
prime?
enemies. And I wonder
Well, it could be a
how
creative
much you'll
prime.
be able to extend
But
it.
there's a reason why when they ask for like your age range in a lot of like forms, they kind of group it as like 18 to 24, because that's like beginning of adulthood. Once you hit 25, it's like a whole new like era of adulthood. That's where the shift begins, honestly.
Which excites me, right? Because I'm assuming if you're in chaos control, you collect more chaos control capsules, you kill some more enemies on your way. Feel like some people are gonna find some crazy ways to extend how long you are in chaos control, and again, that is exciting. Next up, we have the bio lizard, which was really cool for me because one, it's cool revisiting the fight. But it's cool seeing also the dialogue Shadow has with the Bio Lizard. Like, he's like, I will put you out of your misery, you creature. Like, he knows that's him. And what's cool about the fight too is the same way Shadow is gonna get the Doom powers with the wings, right? You can see Bio Lizard getting wings too. Again, it's so cool. Obviously, when you remember that the Bio Lizard is just a failed experiment of Shadow, so potentially a taste of what's to come. He does shoot these giant energy spheres at you, and I wonder if that's something Shadow is going to be able to do later on, because again, they are mirror images of each other. Obviously, one much uglier than the other. And speaking of that, Doom powers, right? Doom powers are another thing to me that are so exciting, because while I didn't get to try them in this demo, I did get to talk to Izuka about it in the interview, and he was telling me there's going to be multiple different Doom powers you get, and it's going to change a lot of the ways you interact with this level. There's one thing that made me think I needed a Doom power for it, right? And let me explain it to you. There's this path you can take in the arc, right?
Yeah, I've been seeing this upper path. No one's gone up there.
There's this one enemy on a top platform I had no idea how to get to. I tried on so many runs to get to that enemy, but I couldn't figure it out. And I'm starting to think that, hey, maybe later on the game, when I get the more Doom powers, I can maybe, you know, use the wings to jump up on higher platforms. There's even a spot in the trailer that I spotted where there was an upward trail of rings that I don't know how you would go fly up. So I'm feeling that maybe the Doom powers are going to be able to get you, know, maybe upward.
So have we got a light speed dash in this game or not? I don't even know if that's confirmed yet. Like, have they confirmed that we can light dash in these levels? I haven't seen that yet.
Certain levels, skip some paths. Like, I feel like there's some crazy shit you might be able to do with that. Now let's talk about seamless transitions. This is one of my favorite things about this demo, and the thing that stood out to me so much, the seamless transitions. You guys have all seen the clips, but there are moments in this level that feel so cinematic. You know, you're beating up this giant, you know, tower or bullet or whatever, and then Shadow like rolls that back into gameplay, right?
Yeah,
or
it's
that
really,
segment,
it really
know,
is seamless.
where Shadow's falling down the sky, the camera pans, and you're falling down
the
the
way
sky,
they do that
and
is
you're
amazing.
playing it, right? Or even Black Doom chasing you around the level. Just the way everything transitions from cutscene to gameplay felt almost like an Uncharted game, right? Especially that last segment where the tower is falling down. That felt like Uncharted to me. And it was really, really fucking cool to see. And I can't wait to see if they continue that, not just in this game, but in the Sonic series. Because we don't really have Sonic levels with transitions. Like, yeah, there's Sonic levels with phases, obviously.
They tried to do that with that one Forces Avatar level, right? Was it Capital City? They tried to do it with that, with the Phantom Ruby shit. I mean, it was decent there, but you know, you could tell that's what they're doing now is kind of what they were trying to do then.
Like a city escape.
It wasn't null space, no. It was the white environment, like the metropolitan environment, but it was the Avatar level. I think it was Capital City.
There's moments that change, but the idea of these moments,
I don't know if it's gonna work well on Switch though. Like, how are they gonna do this on Switch with the levels loading?
that go from cinematic to gameplay within a level, I need that as a mainstay forever, please. The music, right? Obviously, when it comes to Sonic, music is extremely important, and the remix we had in the level was so sick. People will be able to extract it. I'm going to play it over here for you, and the music was so good. I think the BioLizard was a remix of the boss theme of the BioLizard. I'm not sure if it was one that was reused or not, but obviously the music is going to be exciting for a Shadow game regardless, no matter what. Also, I wanted to talk a bit about Chaos Spear, right? Because this is an ability that I was able to do in the level where, you know, you press triangle, you shoot a Chaos Spear, and the reason why it's notable because, yeah, it stuns enemies, but it also makes it so that when you homing attack to them, you do it faster. What's also cool about Shadow's homing attack,
when you Chaos Spear enemies, you attack them faster? I didn't even know that.
is it counts as a teleport, right? So basically what you can do is if there's a laser wall or something in front of you, you can technically teleport through that with Shadow's homing attack. So now you have the Chaos Spear stun the enemies, but you can mash, you know, the homing attack way faster, because I know some people complain about the...
You'll be getting this on Switch. You don't play a PS4 that much. Is this coming to PS4? I don't even remember. I think I think it is, right? Right? That being said, I'm assuming the PS4 version would run better than the Switch version, though.
You know, the stun that happens after you do homing attack that happened in Frontier, so that stun is a bit more mitigated, and it looks cool, bro. But yeah, those are some of the most exciting things I got to experience in the demo. Let me know what you are most excited for from what you've seen from my gameplay or from trailers
that song
or whatever.
Stuck in my head
you
now.
guys, thank you all for the support lately, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out.
forgotten the name of that zone, but that song is stuck in my head. What's the name of that fucking? I heard it in the video. Now I need to hear that song right now. Which level is it? I think it's Glyphic Canyon. No, it's not Glyphic Canyon. Lethal Highway. Nope, it's not Lethal. Which level is that? That song is stuck in my head now. Is it? It's not Digital Circuit. It's definitely not Digital Circuit. Nope, it's definitely not. Cryptic Castle. It's gotta be that. Yes, it's that. Okay. That song is stuck in my head. I need an extended version though. There we go. This song's fire. Ugh. Someone said, why is it not coming to PS3? Imagine Sonic X Shadow Generations on PS3. I mean, you could have the Generations part. I mean, it wouldn't look better, but you'd have the drop dash. Imagine a downport of that. Alright. We got a few tweets and interviews and impressions to go through. Oh yeah, the skins. We gotta talk about that as well. But yeah, Otani confirmed that he's not working on Sonic X Shadow Generations at all. He said he didn't make the music, but he supported the team a little. I believe this project will be super cool. The question is, well then who the fuck is doing the music for this game, right? Because usually the big players are like Jun Sonoe, Otani-san, like, you know, who's doing the music? No idea. I guess we'll find out later. We got this tweet here. This is from an interview that we're going to be looking at as well. But basically, they wanted to make a full-fledged Shadow game. Nakamura said, we really wanted to release in time for the release of the movie. So it'll take time to create one from scratch. It'll be difficult to redefine the game. Therefore, we chose to challenge ourselves to take on new actions by adding Shadow story to the game with Generations. This allowed us to create a sense of unity as a single game. So yeah, they wanted to make a bigger game for Shadow, but because the movie was coming out and they wanted to hit that movie release, because everything revolves around the multimedia now, that's the big money maker. It was like, okay, we'll have to add Sonic Generations so we got more content. Now we're gonna talk about the skins, right? These are leaks. New findings on EG Data suggest the inclusion of skins for Sonic X Shadow Generations. The item names allude to retro skins for Classic Sonic and Modern Sonic. So we already got the Terrio skin for Shadow confirmed. We got the Adventure Sonic skin for Modern Sonic confirmed. But now we've got more shit to talk about, right? You can see Miller Retro skin for Modern Sonic audience, Miller Retro skin for Classic Sonic audience, Miller Retro skin for Modern Sonic, Miller Retro skin for Classic Sonic. So, Classic Sonic, I don't know what skin they would use. Maybe like a Sonic R type model, something like that. You know. No idea. Modern Sonic, you got tons of shit to pick from. SA2 model, 06 model, movie Sonic maybe. Will Shadow get a movie Shadow skin? It's very possible. I mean, they are selling this alongside the movie, so having a movie Shadow skin would be pretty crazy. There's plenty of options they could pick from. I feel like movie makes the most sense in terms of the marketing standpoint. For me though, give me them 06 models. I want to see them 06 models, like 06 Sonic, 06 Shadow. That's what I want to see. With the hand animations as well, like, you know, that's what I want to see. But yeah, there's a lot of potential options for that. Oh yeah, those things, I remember those. Rivals had skins as well. But yeah, Legacy skins. What else we got? Sonic Stadium's got an interview with Zuka. 4Gamers got an interview with Izuka. Oh yeah, Shadows in PSO2. That's where I got the thumbnail from. This is another tweet talking about the retro skins. There's quite a few people covered this. I think we've seen that already. And then Game Rant. I think they played the game early, so they got like opinions on that. I think another. Is this Game Rant as well? Hold on. I think it's the same article. Is it? Well, this is an interview with Zuko. This is. I'm trying to see if it's the same thing or not. I don't think there's much here actually. I can skip that. And then another hands-on, basically. We got quite a few things to go through. I mean, we should be done in a few minutes though. It's nothing crazy. Hold on. Alright. So, let's go through this one quickly. I think this one's a short one. I don't think there's anything new, crazy new here. Sega's been on the tail when it comes to their Spy Cube mascot. He says he was a huge fan of Generations when it came out. While they did have his love for Shadow as well, he's never played any of the games that you actually use Shadow aside from SA2 and All Stars Racing. The demo at SGF featured 2 Sonic levels, 2 Shadow levels, and our guy recommended that we do the Shadow levels first because that was the new content. So yeah, he did the Sonic levels. If you don't remember, I haven't played Generations, so essentially remix versions, yada yada yada. Comparing, I wouldn't be able to tell if it felt better or worse, but the visuals made everything look new again. I mean, it looks pretty much the same, but okay. Side-scrolling Sonic using 4K HDR, so it is HDR confirmed then. It's an acquired taste that can be even more of a sensory overload than it was back then. Hearing the classic Reno Zone theme, followed by hearing the remix, remains a nice touch. After getting my feet wet with Sonic Generations, your feet wet, okay. Shadow Generations was definitely a little bit different. Shadow made his debut in SA2. Moved into 3D. Using homing jumps to scrape on Byleth's weak spot. Homing jumps? Okay then. Despite getting some practice, Sonic honestly struggled a bit with both of Shadow's levels. The redesign of SA2 Space Colony was gorgeous. While I thought playing the 3D take on Green Cell was good preparation, I was definitely thrown off by the flow of Space Colony arc. Shadow's Chaos Control ability, which freezes time and allows you to use enemies as platforms, is a bit confusing. I found myself having to jump back on the course a few times and pop in the same ring box to finally get a knack for Chaos Control. Eventually the level became smooth sailing. Because of how I horribly slowed things down earlier, I didn't get the S ranks. You didn't get the S ranks? Yeah, we know where you are. Moving on to the Byleth fight, it features some of the camera shank that the 3D games have been known for. Okay, so he's one of those classic fanboys. The first phase of the fight forces you to jump to avoid shockwaves, followed by the use of homing ability. After a few rounds of that, the game teaches you about the Chaos Sphere. She can use the launch blast of energy. This is used the same way that McCree's High Noon Ultimate is used in Overwatch. We don't play Overwatch with Sonic fans. Before I realized that I did my fair share of deaths before conquering the alien once and for all. I finished my time in Sonic and Shadow Generations, definitely impressed with how it looks, and I think the Shadow levels definitely give some much added value to a game that's otherwise more than a decade old. So this will definitely be on my radar when this comes out in October. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Is there any new information here? This seems like the same old info. We can close that. We can close that. Yo, John X for the $5 donation. You don't like the Final Haunts theme from Shadow the Hedgehog? The Final Haunts theme? Which song is that? I actually don't remember that song. Final Haunts? I haven't played Shadow the Hedgehog in years, honestly. It sounds cool. I mean, I wouldn't put it over other themes in the game, but I wouldn't put it over like Critic Castle, no. For sure, no. But, you know. Alright. We can close this. We can close this. We can close this. We can close this. Alright. We got quite a few interviews here. I just know Izuka's gonna say a lot of the same shit, so I don't want to spend too much time on interviews. And why is this not translating? Please translate. Alright, let's go through the 4-gamer interview. I'm just gonna skim through. I'm not gonna like, because you know Izuka says a lot of the same shit, so I don't want to like read everything. Play the PSP version of Gens, yada yada yada. Chaos Control. I'm looking for anything new that's here. Is that Nakamura? Is Nakamura working on this game? Oh yeah, he is working on this game, isn't he? We're not involved in the production of the movie. The effect of the movie is very large. Before adding Shadow makes sense. It's rare to pay a remastered version with completely new work. Well, Nintendo did it, so makes sense. Shigihara. Which guy is this again? What's he done? Oh, I think we googled him before. They didn't put his names there on the actual things he's done, so you can't see all the things he's worked on. Origins, Colors, Gens. So he was definitely, he worked on special thanks on Gens 3DS, game design on Gens PS3. Okay, the premise is that we wouldn't change the speedrun game design or so well received in Generations. So they wanted it to be like Gens. Sonic is still focused on high-speed action, as in the past, but Shadow could do a lot of different things and special powers such as chaos control. We were concerned that the amount of things you could do might make the game too difficult. The most difficult part of the development was finding the balance between maintaining the fun traditional speedruns and making it acceptable to customers who normally enjoy Sonic's action. The theme of Sonic Generations to look back on past adventures and adding new actions to Sonic, but this time we aim to create a game that would half look back on the past and half give surprise by incorporating new actions on the Shadow side. So Violet is the first who is traditional, but in the second half we changed things. This was difficult. Okay. I thought that the Violet battle was a little difficult. Can the difficulty be changed for those who can't clear it? Get good, scrub! The difficulty can't be changed. The demo you suddenly have to face Violet, so it may have thought it difficult. In the final version you go through several stages before you reach Violet, so you have to learn Shadow's actions before you challenge him. So they're saying what, Violet is a later boss in the game? Okay, that might be it. Maybe that's why it was so much harder. To them, at least. Are the stories of the two titles connected? I can't go into detail yet, but I imagine there's a Shadow Generations behind Sonic Generations. In Sonic Generations, Shadow appears as a rival in the price of to the Chaos Emerald. That's an interesting point. Are they at the same time? Will they overlap? Like in Shadow Gens, will you randomly go and fight Sonic as the same rival battle as Sonic Gens? Is that gonna happen? I don't know. You were involved in the development of Sonic Generations 12 years ago. What changes have been made in development compared to then? Performance from the hardware has improved, so the expression has become richer, for sure. The point was to express it in a way that it showed it without making major changes to the game. Sonic's sense of speed is based on the surrounding background, so the changes that we can now create it in a rich way. However, this time the remaster of the completely new work will be one package, so you have to be careful to make them not too different from each other. Okay. Doom Power is a means of transportation in white space. There's several ways to use it, and it can be used not only in white space but also in the stages. You can play by restarting a stage before you obtain that power, using Doom Power to develop a new route. Okay. The scene in the trailer where Shadow grows wings makes Doom Power easy to understand. As for how I'll be involved in the game, I'd like you to enjoy the surprise I mentioned earlier, but I think they'll be able to announce the details at some point. Are there any changes to Sonic in the remaster? He can do LOP dashes, so that's a translation error. So I think that'll create new strategies. The resolution is now up to 4K. Please tell me they updated the HUDs and menus to be 4K. It better not be like some 1080p, 720p shit again. Like, it needs to be high res HUDs. There's no Child Garden, we know that. The color of Shadow's body and the background, but I thought black was cool. It contrasts with the refreshing primary colors of Sonic's Green Hill and the combination of the two. Okay. Now, many Shadow fans on our development team, and the Collector's Edition we are releasing this time was created based on the results of an internal survey. Characters and works that are loved by fans are often rejected if they do something poorly. Yes, that is true. There are people in the development team who grew up playing Shadow, so we also take their opinions into consideration. In improving the quality, we always check whether it's in line with Shadow's charm, and ultimately consulted with Izuka to refine it. In the scene where Shadow grows wings was released in America, there were some opinions that he wouldn't grow wings like that. Many people were happy with it, so I would like you to take on the challenge of conveying his new charm while cherishing the feelings of the fans. Please give a message to the fans. Shigihara said 12 years ago, Sonic Generations was wildly accepted by fans as a speedrun, but we've created a speedrun unique to Shadow that is just as good as it was before. If you play it, I'm sure you'll like it. Nakamura says, this year is Shadow's year, including the movie. I hope you take this opportunity to get to know him. He's a very attractive character. I hope that's a translation error. so I'm sure you like him if you experience his story. With the two giants, Sonic and Shadow will further liven up the Sonic series and create the best game. I hope you enjoy their story. Nothing too crazy there. We got this Izuka interview here, and then we got this Sonic Stadium Izuka interview. Skim through these right quick. When did the game first enter development? Okay. Sonic Movie 2 was 2022. So 2022, basically. So it was around the same time as Sonic Frontiers. How did they manage the workload? Sonic team has expanded greatly over the past years. You see, after the movie succeeded, they upped the ante, basically. Makes sense. It's now large enough that they can handle multiple projects all at the same time. Remember when I used to say this shit before and they're like, don't rush Sonic Team, don't rush Sega, yada yada yada. And it's like, when they smell the money and they see that people are actually buying shit and that the content is good, they start upping the budgets, they start increasing the team, they start doing more shit. The things that they could have been doing before, but they just didn't feel like they could profit from it before. But yeah, even though we do have a big team working on Frontiers, there are enough people that can also start working on Sonic and Shadow, like when another team work on Sonic Superstars, right? So yeah, pillars. Hopefully another team working on the Heroes remake as well. How have you approached designing Shadow's levels, and how is that approach different from modern Sonic? Has the ability to stop time with Chaos Control. Yeah, different ways of doing platform action. So Chaos Control basically. We also added in brand new actions like the Doom powers and allows Shadow to do different actions. We can use it various ways as well as Chaos Control, and that differentiates Shadow's gameplay from Sonic's gameplay. All the stages on white space using an adaptive version of the Frontiers engine also run on the same engine as the original generation. So obviously Frontiers, right? It was created. Yeah, Sonic Genesis was created with an older version of Hedgehog engine. So for this game, we kept that older version, but kind of made some improvements. That kept it in that older. So what you're saying is still running in Hedgehog Engine 1, or what? Oh no, for the Shadow Gens portion, that was used with a version of the Hedgehog engine that was way more advanced. Yeah, so the later version. So both versions of Hedgehog engine are powering this game. Yeah, that makes sense. Can you tell us how many hours the campaign will take and how long to 100%? We can't talk about that yet because we don't want to tell them it's too short yet. I noticed that Act 1 is playable. That presumably means there's multiple acts. Is there any kind of gameplay difference between the different acts? Shadow Gens is a different game from Sonic Gens. Like, both do exist on the Game 1 package, but because they're both gens, we want to have a similar format. So just how Sonic Generation has a 3D level, but there's also a 2D level, we wanted to make sure it has 3D as well. So is it going to be like 2 acts, like a 2D Shadow level and a 3D Shadow level of the same environment? Like, is that how they're going to do it? So 2 acts per area, 2D level, 3D level, then a boss? I mean, I'd be fine with that, because it means that the 3D levels could actually be like fully 3D, like the one we already saw, right? Instead of inserting the 2D into the 3D level. So you get like a 2D Kingdom Valley Shadow level, then a 3D Kingdom Valley Shadow level, and then a boss. I think that could be a fine formula, right? But yeah, I think that could be interesting. What can you tell us about Shadow's motivations as a character? Like, why does he fight to protect the world in general? Shadow was created and was being used to get retribution that Professor Gerald had on the world. He was going to destroy the world, but I remembered Maria really loved the world, and so instead of destroying it, he actually saved the world. And ever since that, what he wanted to do is for the memory of Maria. Maria loved the planet as it was, so it's not really like he wanted to save individual people. He wanted to preserve the entire planet, because that's what Maria loved, and he wanted to preserve that. Moving away from Shadow for a minute, what can you tell us about Sonic's current mobile strategy, particularly the focus on exclusives for subscription services? We've got Dash as well as Forces Speed Battle, but both out for mobile. I think Speed Battle just topped. Speed Battle is 300 million downloads? You lot playing it that much? Really? Holy fuck! God damn! The Child game is gonna do numbers though. That Child game, that shit gonna do numbers. Cause if they're saying 300 million downloads for Speed Battle, and it's basically just Dash but racing, yeah, that Child game, that's gonna do numbers. Imagine the amount of money they're making off of the whales on that game. And they have Dream Team for Apple Arcade. So yeah, all this shit coming out. The community has expressed a lot of interest in seeing mobile titles like Dream Team and Rumble on PC and consoles. Is there any chance of seeing these releases outside of mobile? Sonic Dream Team is an Apple exclusive title, so that's going to be the only place where it'll be offered. But for Rumble, we do know it's releasing on mobile, and we'll kind of see as it releases, as people pick up on the phone, it may start going to. So basically, Dream Team, they got paid by Apple, so that shit, that's staying on Apple. But Rumble, basically, it seems like if it performs really well type shit, then they'll port it. If it kind of flops, then they won't port it. So I guess we'll see when it comes to that. A question about Knights. No one cares about Knights, so we're not talking about that. Do you have any idea? Listen, get to the Sonic. Any chance of other Sonic characters getting a spin-off? Knuckles, Spotlight, short form animation. Yeah, maybe this, maybe that, same old shit. No, like definitive shit. What are the chances of IDW? No one cares about the comics. I'm sorry, comic fans, you're gonna get mad at me, but like, the character skins. Terios in particular was pretty deep cut. What made you consider this? So it's really Sonic Superstars that was the catalyst for the ideas. With the rabbit skin that Shima-san wants to see playable. When he put that in there, he really liked that. So when they thought of that, they were like, we could put Terios in there. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. How are the skins implemented in Shadow Generations? Are they purely promotional? Will there be additional skins that players can unlock in the game itself? The Sonic Adventure skin is something that if you're pre-ordering, you will get the skin, and the Terios skin is for anyone who buys it in Deluxe. Okay, so you go into the menu, select that. That didn't really answer the question, as will there be additional skins? You kind of swerved that. We see the gallery in Sonic Generations. Sonic 1 has been removed from the Generations portion of the game, but Conceal Knight has been included. Final question, how did the Eggman escape the white space at the end of Generations? The writer for the Shadow Generations content is the same writer from Frontiers, Ian Flynn. He did the writing for Shadow Generations and the new storyline. He asked the exact question, like how did they get out, because he wanted to write in some more story, wanted to tell the story, but we couldn't get into changing it. Sonic Gens ends with that ending, so we want to leave it up with everyone's imagination and guess how Eggman gets out of white space. Alright, cool. Last Isuka interview, and then we will be done. This interview has been edited for clarity and rarity. It's been a pretty big year for Shadow. What are your feelings of everything Shadow? In the third movie, Shadow's gonna be a featured character, yada yada yada. Someone's been there for Shadow since the beginning, have to see all that happening. What does the current generation of gaming offer that couldn't have been done with generations before? In older platforms, they want to see Generations remastered. They want to play it on new hardware. We thought about it as being a great idea, but what's something we could do that we couldn't do before? The 30 frames per second experience was really the best the team could do back in the day. It was still a great looking game, but the hardware can only handle like 30. With the new hardware we have now, we can get up to 60, and it looks just as good, if not better. Song Team is certain that this change from 30 to 60 frames is going to make the games look nicer. Of course, but please don't cap it at 60 on PC. Why is Sonic X Shadow Generations a necessary remaster? What was the greatest challenge? The Shadow Gens content. Makes sense. Difficult part for Shadow is we need a different engine. We couldn't just use Hedgehog engine for over 10 years ago. So they had to use the old Hedgehog. Yeah, we know about that. What's on the biggest benefits of pairing Shadow Gens with Sonic Gens? The benefits was to give first-time players and older players to walk through the history of Sonic. You start with Green Hill Zone. I know you love that. For people who don't know Shadow, asking who is this Hedgehog, we're doing the same thing with walking through his legacy. You get to tell his story, yada yada yada. First time players will get a walkthrough. So you get Modern Sonic, you get Shadow, Classic Sonic, and you get Shadow. Okay. Compared to Sonic Gens, how much content can fans expect for Shadow Gens? Sonic Gens, a lot of the storytelling presentations found on the stages. Shadow Gens is made in the same format. The focus isn't on the fact that these stages are 3D than 2D, it's about playing both stages to get both the 2D and 3D experience. We're leaning a bit more to the story. Yeah, when you're playing this game, we get more of an interactive character element to it, making more cutscenes. We're getting to go a little bit deeper. So basically, Shadow Gens will actually have a fucking decent story, whereas Sonic Gens, no one plays that for the actual story. Twists and turns. The Child Rescue feature was added, but no Child Gun, of course. Giving us something else to do. Everyone loves Chow after all, right? I want to make sure everyone knows this feature does not include a Chow Gun. You keep saying that. We've heard it a million times. We know. The development of Shadow's Doom powers. Chaos Control, it's ability that comes naturally. Having Shadow be able to use it in gameplay is great. With the core, it will be very similar to what Sonic can do, running fast, from platform to platform. When you think about putting Shadow Gens content alongside Sonic in one package, it might feel too similar. The team wanted to make Shadow Gens action more unique and have things that only Shadow can do as the heart of Shadow Gens. It had to be more than just jumping and running fast. If you play the Shadow portion of them, we've encountered Doom Spears. It's very similar to Chaos Spear, but with more spears. And the team definitely wanted to make Chaos and Doom Spear, make sure they were there. The wings, yeah, how Shadow is going to steal the show. What are the obvious differences? How do the stage designs differ? You can't talk much about Doom Powers, so you can't get too much about what's different. So basically, you're saying the Doom Powers is heavily the different thing. But they have to be used in level design. Level design will include these because Sonic doesn't have them. Are they required to beat the levels, or is it optional? That's an interesting thing I want to know, actually. Well, including these places where the Doom Powers can be used inside of Shadow content. But even the core design, when you think about it, outside of Doom Powers, similar to Sonic Generations, but it's a little bit different. You have the highest speed, that's going to be the same. It's part of the core design. Yada yada yada. The Biolizard boss fight was a ton of fun, so I'm just wondering what's the core of the boss design for Shadow Generations. Design for Biolizard comes back to how we're dealing with Sonic Generations format. As part of that format is the nostalgia. Things that people remember, but then we changed part of it. Yeah, we know that part. So kind of like what they did in Sonic 4, where they'll reuse the old bosses but then change the second phase. They did that in Forces as well. You know, shock them with the second phase. The Sonic community is rather passionate. Is there anything you'd like to say? Our fans have been with us over 30 years. This year's the year of Shadow up until now. I know we've had lots of Shadow fans that really want more of him, but we haven't been able to provide that. We really hope they look forward to all this content. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Game's coming out October. So we're literally like just over 4 months away from the game's release. Hopefully we get more gameplay soon. Maybe another level release. But yeah, it's looking interesting, man. It's looking interesting. Good stream, Prem. I hope they redub the Adventure games with Rogers. What? No. No, okay. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. That's not happening. That's definitely not happening. Definitely not happening. But yeah, Shadow Gens looks interesting. It looks interesting. I think it's definitely gonna get the green Metacritic score, so at least 75. I think 80 is possible. Maybe not on the Switch port with the inevitable performance issues. But I think one of those ports will probably get 80. I think so. But yeah, hopefully we get more gameplay, you know, this month or maybe next month. I don't know. I mean, we got a Nintendo Direct coming, right? Like, Nintendo still haven't done their E3 Direct. So, I think the Nintendo Direct will have to give them some kind of bonus gameplay. Like, it's Nintendo, right? They're gonna have something for Nintendo, right? And, I mean, the PlayStation version of the game got, like, special content. Like, you think the Nintendo version will get, like, special content? Like, an exclusive feature just for the Switch? Exclusive skin, maybe? People will be mad at that, though, because you have to get more versions just to get everything. But, you know, we'll see, innit? But, yeah. Who knows? I think that's it. I think that's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to the game. You know, it has potential to be the best game since Generations. Of course, I did like the open zone and the Frontiers, of course. So we'll see how well they do the open zone here. But yeah, the Shadow Gens take place after Sonic Gens. Is it right after, or is it like 10 years late? I don't even know like the timeline on that. But you know, we'll see. We shall see. But yeah, Shadow Gens looking interesting. I'm looking forward to it. You know, cyberspace wise, it's definitely beating cyberspace. Whether it beats the open zone in terms of what I prefer over Frontiers as a whole, that's a whole different point. You know, Frontiers is let down by cyberspace, is let down by Chaos Island, you know, but I did love Kronos and Ares Island a lot. Even Rio was fun, but we'll see how if Shadow Gens can pass Frontiers, you know, in terms of like overall, you know. Rambo the Boss donated $5 said, if Shadow Gens is disappointing as Forces, I might lose complete faith in Sega. Good stream, by the way. I don't think Shadow Gens is going to be as disappointing as Forces, because Forces had tons of red flags with the footage, you know. There were tons of red flags with Forces footage. It was obvious that it was going to be a disappointment. I'm not seeing tons of red flags here. Like, sure, the level design I don't think is S tier, and you still have certain elements of automation like with the rails, but it doesn't look like Forces. It just doesn't. You can tell that more is being done here, you know. So I don't think it's gonna be that. Again, unless it's glitched out or something. That's the only thing it could be that could really let it down here. You know, we know the game is gonna be short, so that shouldn't surprise you. But it's just bonus content on top of Sonic Gens, right? So we'll see, innit? We will see. Let me pick a different song for the outro, I guess, since we just run out of music there. Let's try Cosmic Fall. What's up, guy? Has there been new news or you just yapping? There's been info, Gamer Guide, okay? 3 hours worth of info. That was a Sky Troops Classic remix? Who the fuck made this? This wasn't in the game, was it? No, change that. That wasn't in the game. Anyway, before I stay here for too long, we're ending the stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hopefully we get more games. We need that Nintendo Direct. Hurry up, Nintendo. Get to the shit. But yeah. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell. More content coming soon to the channel. But it's your boy, Ramulus. Wait, sorry. Wrong outro. My bad. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. More content coming to the channel. Thanks you guys for watching. It's been real. The Remy out.